Chapter 26:14. The lunatic asked, "Do you have the confidence to get rid of them in one fell swoop?" "Of course." King Yu nodded confidently. The lunatic pondered for a moment before shaking his head. "I'm still a little worried. Do you have so little confidence in me?" King Yu was displeased. "I'm afraid that an accident will happen. After all, there are many things in this world that we can't predict," the lunatic said. "Then what do you want to do?" King Yu was suspicious. "If you fail, then I have to continue lurking around them, because this is the only way to grasp their whereabouts." Therefore, as the lunatic said this, he raised his arm and slapped his sea of vital energy. His sea of vital energy shattered on the spot and he spat out a mouthful of blood. "What are you doing?" King Yu was bewildered. The lunatic seemed to feel that this was not enough. He took out a dagger and slashed a few deep wounds on his body. "Are you crazy?" King Yu was furious. How could one inflict such harm on themselves? However, the lunatic turned a deaf ear to him and grabbed his left arm. With a low growl, he tore it hard. Crack! His left arm was immediately torn off. Fresh blood spurted out like a fountain. The corners of King Yu's mouth twitched. This guy must have a masochistic disease. It's about time. This way, even if you fail, they won't suspect that I am the one who leaked the information. The lunatic kept his dagger and endured the intense pain as he grinned at King Yu. Looking at the smile on the lunatic's face, King Yu could not help but feel fear in his heart. Just for the sake of putting on a show, he treated himself so cruelly. This was a ruthless person. The lunatic smiled. Men should be more ruthless to themselves. King Yu smiled bitterly and sized up the lunatic for a moment before saying, "Why don't you follow me to the ancient city after getting rid of them? There are no treasures in your ancient city. Why should I go there?" The lunatic pouted. "Who said that there are no treasures? You can choose any supreme-level divine art or supreme-level divine artifact," King Yu said. "I'm sorry. I don't care about such trash." The lunatic shook his head. "This is still trash?" King Yu was stunned. "However, if you can give me that heaven-defying divine artifact, I will be very happy." The lunatic chuckled. "Haha." King Yu laughed and said, "Don't underestimate my ancient city of the King Yu. My ancient city of the King Yu has treasures that are even more powerful than heaven-defying divine weapons." More powerful than a heaven-defying divine artifact? Could that be a sovereign weapon? Madman was bewildered and his heart burned with passion. Sovereign weapon? King Yu was speechless. He shook his head and said, "There's no sovereign divine weapon, but this treasure is very useful to you. You'll know when you get there." "If that's the case, then I really have to go and take a look," Madman said. King Yu smiled mysteriously and said, "I'll keep you in suspense for now. I guarantee that you won't be disappointed." "All right." Madman nodded. After a while, several powerful auras approached from afar. "It's them. Hide!" Madman roared. "How?" This made things difficult for the Ghost King. 100-meter-tall body would be very eye-catching no matter where it hid, and there was no place for him to hide in the canyon. If only Qin Feiyong was here. His concealment technique can allow us to hide in the void directly. Madman also noticed this and could not help but shake his head helplessly. "How about this? We'll hide behind the canyon and conceal our aura. Once they appear, I'll take action," King Yu said. "All right." Madman nodded. King Yu immediately brought Madman to the back of the canyon and stuck out his head to look at the void in front of him. "Your head is too big and too obvious. Let me do it." After saying that, Madman directly flew to the top of King Yu's head and looked ahead. "By the way, can't your body shrink?" Madman looked ahead and asked softly. "No." King Yu transmitted his voice. "That's too inconvenient. If we enter the human world, we will cause a commotion wherever we go." Madman whispered. "The human world." King Yu muttered in his heart and there seemed to be some desire in his eyes. Whoosh! Very soon 10 figures entered Madman's line of sight. "What's the situation?" Madman was stunned. "What's the matter?" King Yu asked inwardly. "There's only the Chief Pavilion Master and the 9 ancestral dragons. I don't see Yizhong and that unfamiliar young man." Madman was suspicious. Unfamiliar young man? King Yu was stunned. Madman said inwardly. It's that young man who grasped the law of fire. So it's him. King Yu was enlightened and transmitted his voice. He is the Beast Emperor Fire Qilin. It's really him. Madman was surprised and frowned. That's not right. We've seen the Beast Emperor before and he doesn't look like this. He indeed doesn't look like this. According to this king's observation, his current physical body should have been obtained through possession, said the king. King Yu said inwardly. Possess. Madman frowned and suddenly thought of something. He transmitted his voice. I understand now. What do you understand? King Yu asked inwardly. Before hell opened, Qin Feiyong went to the inland sea and destroyed the Beast Emperor's physical body and divine soul. As a result, the Beast Emperor is only left with a trace of his divine soul. However, because hell is about to open, he has no way to recondense his divine soul and physical body. Therefore, he resorted to this method, possession. Madman said inwardly. Destroyed the Beast Emperor's physical body and divine soul? King Yu was shocked. He had heard rumors about Qin Feiyong from Madman more than once. To be able to kill the Beast Emperor, who exactly was this person? Wait. Suddenly Madman's eyes flashed coldly. What's wrong? King Yu was shocked and hurriedly asked. Back then, Qin Feiyong destroyed his physical body and divine soul. The Beast Emperor is only left with this last trace of his divine soul. And now his divine soul has entered hell. Doesn't that mean that his divine soul is no longer on Divine Dragon Island? Then if we get rid of him in hell, won't the Beast Emperor be unable to revive? Madman said inwardly. That makes sense. King Yu pondered for a moment and transmitted his voice. Then this is an opportunity. Madman's eyes flashed. In the blink of an eye, the Chief Pavilion Master and the 9 Ancestor Dragons flew out like lightning and landed in the canyon. We're finally back. The white-clothed woman let out a long breath. Where's Madman? Ancestor Black Dragon looked around. Why didn't he see any trace of Madman? The Chief Pavilion Master and the other 8 Ancestor Dragons also immediately scanned the canyon, their eyes full of surprise. Why isn't he here? Could this Madman be the spy? The white-clothed woman frowned. No. Look, there's an arm over there. The Chief Pavilion Master suddenly pointed to a patch of grass not far away. There was a bloody arm in the grass. That's right. That was Madman's arm. After tearing off his arm, he casually threw it in the canyon. The 9 Ancestor Dragons and the Chief Pavilion Master walked forward. The blood-robed youth said, Could this be Madman's arm? Who else could it be other than him? Ancestor Black Dragon's face sank. Obviously Madman had an accident. Looking at the wound on his arm, it should have been torn off not long ago. But there are no traces of battle here. Who exactly is it? The group of people scanned the surroundings, their faces full of vigilance. Make your move, Madman secretly said. Boom! King Yu grabbed Madman, and the law of slaughter surged out. The canyon in front of him immediately shattered, and dust covered all directions. While the law of slaughter shattered the canyon, it directly drowned the Chief Pavilion Master and the 9 Ancestor Dragons. This is King Yu. The 10 people's expressions changed. Master, save me! Madman's cries for help also sounded. Madman! The 10 people's eyes trembled. But at this moment, how could they still care about Madman? In just an instant, the law of slaughter caused them to be covered in wounds. The 10 people released their auras and rushed into the sky. But the law of slaughter also rushed into the sky. At the same time, King Yu also grabbed Madman and rushed out of the dust, landing in front of the 10 people. Why did you find this place? The 10 people released their divine power, resisting the law of slaughter while asking in shock and anger. The entire Nether King's hell is under the control of my blood demon race. Is it that difficult to find your hiding place? King Yu smiled coldly. The law of slaughter was like a huge wave, continuously drowning the 10 people. Master! Madman was also desperately struggling in King Yu's hands. Ancestor Dragon Black said, I can't save you. You can fend for yourself. Don't leave me behind. Madman roared. Do you think you can still escape? King Yu sneered. Clang! Accompanied by a loud sound, 10 divine lights rushed out from his body. Those were 10 supreme-grade divine artifacts. Seeing this scene, even Madman couldn't help but be dumbfounded. This was too crazy. 10 supreme-grade divine artifacts in one go? Sabers, spears, swords, halberds, everything. As soon as the 10 divine artifacts appeared, they cut through the sky and surrounded the chief pavilion master and the 9 ancestor dragons. Die! King Yu was very decisive this time. The 10 supreme-grade divine artifacts immediately rushed toward the chief pavilion master and the others from all directions with the power to destroy the world. There was also that terrifying law of slaughter. At this moment, their bodies were already dripping with blood. Go! You must keep your lives and get rid of Qin Feiyang. The burly man roared, and his aura suddenly soared. Half-step indestructible. Early stage indestructible. Early stage indestructible. Early stage indestructible. Not good. He released the suppression on his cultivation. Madman exclaimed. King Yu frowned and transmitted his voice. Don't be afraid, he is courting death. Boom! In the next moment, a monstrous divine might descended from the sky. Madman looked up at the sky. This was the power of the laws of hell? The burly man waved his hand, and the law of slaughter and the 10 supreme-grade divine artifacts were annihilated on the spot. This was the true strength of the ancestor dragon. If not for the restrictions of the laws, an ancestor dragon was enough to sweep through the entire hell. Go as far as you can. Don't come back. The burly man roared and slammed his palm toward the chief pavilion master and the others. The group of people was immediately sent flying. You go to hell too. The burly man looked at King Yu again, his eyes filled with resentment. However, without waiting for him to make a move, the power of the laws descended. With a scream, the burly man shattered on the spot. Not even his bones were left. Bastard! King Yu, I won't let you off. Let's go. Witnessing the burly man being obliterated by the power of the laws with their own eyes, Black Dragon, Ancestor Dragon, and the others couldn't help but feel sad, but they didn't dare to stay and turned to flee frantically. Chapter 26:15. This is too terrifying. Even a greater success Undying Realm powerhouse couldn't resist at all, and was instantly killed. Frenzy's heart was in turmoil. The first time he saw the power of the Nether King, it left a shadow in his heart. He didn't want to see it a second time. After the power of the Nether King killed the Earth Dragon Ancestor Dragon, it dissipated. King Yu immediately took a step forward and descended towards the Chief Pavilion Master and the others. We must not let them escape. Frenzy came back to his senses and stared at the disappearing figures of the group as he transmitted his voice. However, not long after, King Yu stopped in the void. Why did you stop? Frenzy frowned. King Yu shook his head and said, You can't catch up. It's a waste of time. Frenzy fell silent. Indeed, they were both at the greater perfection realm and also had a supreme divine art. It was impossible to catch up to the other party. It seemed that it wasn't as easy to get rid of the ancestral dragons. However, it wasn't for nothing this time. At least he had gotten rid of one ancestral dragon. This way he would have one less strong enemy when fighting with the dragons in the future. King Yu asked, Are you still going back to their side? Not for the time being. I'll go with you to the ancient city of the Nether King to see the treasure you mentioned. You're a man, don't go back on your words. Frenzy pondered for a while and smiled. Go back on my words? My blood demon race values promises. Moreover, it's because of you that my ancient city of the Nether King could escape this calamity. I will definitely not treat you unfairly. King Yu smiled. If it wasn't for Frenzy informing them, their blood demon race would probably be defeated by Yi Zhong's group one by one. The consequences would be unimaginable. Value promises? Frenzy was stunned. He really didn't notice. However, it didn't seem like he was fooling him. King Yu frowned and said, however, It will be troublesome if you go back now. What trouble? Frenzy was suspicious. If you go back, they will definitely ask how you escaped from me. How are you going to explain that? King Yu asked. Isn't that simple? Anyway, they have already seen me like this. They won't suspect that I am the one who informed you. When the time comes, I'll find a random reason. Or rather, seeing that I am the disciple of the Black Dragon Ancestor Dragon, you want to use me to threaten the Black Dragon Ancestor Dragon, and imprison me in the ancient city of the Nether King. Then I found a chance to sneak out. Anyway, as long as they don't suspect me, everything will be fine, Madman said. You're really smart. King Yu shook his head and laughed. When Frenzy and King Yu returned to the ancient city, they found out that the 10 commanders hadn't returned yet. What happened? The Yu King frowned. We didn't see Yi Zhong or the Beast Emperor in the canyon. Did they stay behind to hold back the 10 commanders? Madman pondered for a moment and said with a frown, It's possible. Yu Wang said. Then hurry up and go take a look. If we can capture Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor, then we'll have a complete victory this time, Madman said. All right. The Ghost King nodded. He looked at a blood-eyed giant beside him and instructed, This little brother is now an honored guest of my blood demon tribe. You must receive him well. Yes, that blood-eyed giant replied respectfully. The Yu King turned around and quickly disappeared into the mountains outside the city. Little brother, I hope you can forgive me for offending you last night. That blood-eyed giant looked at Madman and said with a smile. He was the blood-eyed giant that guarded the ancient city. He was at the perfection 9th heaven realm. It's fine. Madman waved his hand and asked with a smile, Where's the wolf cub that came with me? That blood-eyed giant said, To tell you the truth, we're also looking for it. Why? Madman's expression changed. After you left, we instructed Blood Bamboo to follow it. But this wolf cub is too slippery. It disappeared in the blink of an eye. Before the dragons came, Blood Bamboo also told it to leave the ancient city, but it refused to listen. After the dragons escaped, we've been looking for it. Until now, we still haven't found it. That blood-eyed giant said. This white-eyed wolf is really worrisome. Madman rubbed his forehead. Little brother, I don't want to hide it from you. We suspect that it might have died in the battle. After all, its cultivation is too weak. Blood-eyed giant said. Dead? Madman was slightly taken aback. He shook his head and said with a smile, It's impossible for it to die. Impossible? Blood-eyed giant frowned. You don't understand it. Anything can happen to anyone, but it's impossible, Madman said. Blood-eyed giant said suspiciously, Since it's fine, why doesn't it show itself? Madman lowered his head and pondered. Suddenly, he looked at blood-eyed giant and said, May I ask, where is your heaven-defying divine artifact? This, blood-eyed giant hesitated. Madman looked up at the palace in the center of the ancient city and said, If I'm not wrong, it should be in that palace. Although Yi Zhong and the others didn't tell him where the heaven-defying divine artifact was hidden, he saw the entire process of the ancestral dragons entering the ancient city. The various ancestral dragons headed straight for the palace in the ancient city. This meant, this heaven-defying divine artifact should be in that palace. It was indeed in there in the past. But after the dragons created such a ruckus, I reckon that Lord Ghost King has this heaven-defying divine artifact with him. So let's wait for Lord Ghost King to come back and tell you personally, Blood-eyed giant said. All right. Madman nodded. If the heaven-defying divine artifact was really with Lord Ghost King, then the white-eyed wolf wouldn't be able to do anything. That's right. He had already guessed that the white-eyed wolf was definitely hiding in that palace and looking for the heaven-defying divine artifact, because this was in line with the white-eyed wolf's character. Time passed by bit by bit. The huge ancient city had already regained its tranquility. They didn't reject Madman as a guest at all. The feeling that the blood demon race gave Madman was that they were warm, hospitable, honest, and simple. About 1 hour passed. Swoosh! 11 figures pierced through the air and entered the ancient city. Where are Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor? Madman immediately went forward and asked. Lord Ghost King shook his head and said, When I rushed over, they had already escaped. Even the 10 of you can't hold them back? Madman looked at the 10 commanders and frowned. The 10 commanders were rather embarrassed. It's not their fault. After all, Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor have both grasped the law of fire. Lord Ghost King said. Yeah. Compared to the ancestral dragon, Yi Zhong and the Beast Emperor are the most difficult to deal with. They have always been a formidable opponent of our blood demon race. Shweta said. It seems that we have underestimated the two of them in the past. Madman muttered. In the past, because the 10 ancestral dragons all had heaven-defying divine artifacts, the threat of Yizhong and the Beast Emperor was far lower than the 10 ancestral dragons. After this battle, he realized that without the heaven-defying divine artifacts, the 10 ancestral dragons were no match for Yizhong and the Beast Emperor. It was no wonder that Long Zun thought so highly of them and didn't even use the fate contract to control them. However, Long Zun didn't know that the Beast Emperor was one of the 4 thearchs of the Dragon Slayer Palace. Not good. Suddenly, Madman's expression changed slightly. What's wrong? Lord Ghost King and the 10 commanders looked at him in surprise. There's something you don't know. This Yizhong has always been someone we want to rope in. As for the Beast Emperor, he is our enemy. Now that the Beast Emperor is alone with Yizhong, will it be disadvantageous to Yizhong? Madman said. Someone we want to rope in? Lord Ghost King was stunned. That's right. In the outside world, there is a faction called the Dragon Slayer Palace. The mission of the Dragon Slayer Palace is to destroy dragons. And an old friend of mine is one of the leaders of the Dragon Slayer Palace. This leader is also Qin Feiyang's ancestor. The reason why we want to rope in Yizhong is because we value his strength and intelligence. Madman said. So that's the case. If you can really rope in Yizhong, it will indeed be a good thing for you. Lord Ghost King nodded with a smile. It will be difficult. To tell you the truth, this time we entered hell to deal with the dragons and the Beast Emperor. On the other hand, we want to find an opportunity to persuade Yizhong. If there's no other way, we will forcefully control him. Madman said. This king knows a little about Yizhong's loyalty to the dragons. It is a little difficult, but this king believes that with your intelligence, you will definitely be able to do it. Lord Ghost King smiled. Me? Forget it. I don't have this ability. I am also afraid of these troubles. This matter still needs my brother, Qin Feiyang, to deal with. Madman shook his head. Qin Feiyang, this king is really curious. What kind of person is he? Even you admire him so much. Lord Ghost King said. When you see him in the future, you will know. Madman smiled and asked, what about the treasure you mentioned? King Yu laughed involuntarily. He turned his head to look at the 10 great commanders and said, immediately send people to search for Qin Feiyang. Yes. The 10 commanders bowed and replied, right. What does this Qin Feiyang look like? Lord Ghost King looked at Madman and asked. Madman waved his hand and condensed the appearance of Qin Feiyang's original body. Lord Ghost King looked at it curiously and couldn't see anything from the illusory image. He then looked at the 10 commanders and said, did you see it clearly? Yes. The 10 commanders nodded. Lord Ghost King said, then quickly go and arrange it. You must find him as soon as possible and invite him to the ancient city. Remember, invite him. Understood. The 10 commanders nodded and turned to leave. Thank you. Madman looked at Lord Ghost King gratefully. Your friend is also this king's friend. There is no need to be polite. Come, this king will bring you to see that treasure. Lord Ghost King smiled and flew towards the palace with Madman. As for that 9th heaven realm blood-eyed giant, it also returned to the plains and continued to guard the ancient city. Very soon, Lord Ghost King and Madman appeared in front of the palace. At the same time, in the palace, a palm-sized small beast was standing in the middle of the palace and looking around suspiciously. That's right. It was the white-eyed wolf. Strange. I have searched the entire palace but didn't see any heaven-defying artifact. Where exactly is it hidden? Not good. There is someone. Suddenly, it shuddered and hurriedly took a big step forward and hid behind a stone chair, staring at the palace door nervously. Chapter 26:16. King Yu and Madman entered the hall one after another. Little Madman? The white-eyed wolf was stunned for a moment before a trace of joy appeared in his eyes. No. If I go out now, I'll be caught by King Yu. How am I going to explain it then? Tell him that he's just strolling around for fun? Only a fool would believe that. The white-eyed wolf continued to hide behind the stone chair. Dong! Suddenly, with the sound of footsteps, a female giant ran to the door. King Yu. It was Shuezhu. At this moment she looked anxious. What's wrong? King Yu turned to look at her suspiciously. Shuezhu said, "That wolf cub is gone." "What?" King Yu was stunned and said angrily, "Didn't I tell you to keep an eye on it?" "I did, but I couldn't do it." Shuezhu looked aggrieved. King Yu said, "Then hurry up and look for it." Shuezhu lowered her head and said, "I've already searched inside and outside the ancient city." "Then go outside the city and look for it." King Yu said. "Okay." Shuezhu nodded and was about to leave. But at this moment, Madman looked at Shuezhu and said with a smile, "Shuezhu, there's no need to look for it." "Huh?" Shuezhu was stunned. King Yu also looked at Madman suspiciously. Wasn't the wolf cub his friend? But why didn't he look worried at all? Madman smiled and turned to scan the hall. "White-eyed wolf, stop hiding. I know you're here. Come out." "Huh?" Shuezhu and King Yu immediately scanned the hall. The wolf cub was here? What is this little lunatic trying to do? The white-eyed wolf couldn't help but frown. Madman shouted impatiently, "Don't dawdle. Hurry up." "Damn you." The white-eyed wolf knew that he couldn't hide anymore. He jumped out from behind the stone chair and glared at Madman. "It's really here?" King Yu and Shuezhu were stunned. "But why was it hiding here?" Madman said disdainfully, "I knew you wouldn't stop. You're such a busybody." The white-eyed wolf glared at him. He then looked at the Ghost King and Shuezhu. Seeing the strange expressions on their faces, he smiled sheepishly and said, "If I say that I'm here to take a stroll, you won't believe me, right?" "Nonsense. Are there people wandering around here?" The corners of King Yu's mouth twitched as he said angrily. The white-eyed wolf laughed dryly and said, "Well, I still have something to do. Sorry to disturb you. Please continue." After saying that, he ran outside. "Who do you want to harm this time?" Madman grabbed the white-eyed wolf's tail and said with a dark expression, "Disaster? Look at what you're saying. Do I look like a wolf who wants to see the world in chaos? Let go or I'll bite you." The white-eyed wolf grimaced. "It's not a resemblance, it's a fact." Madman glared at it, then turned to Shuezhu and said, "I'm sorry I've troubled you. From now on I will personally look after it." No. Shuezhu waved his hand. The Ghost King looked at Shuezhu and waved his hand. "Then you can leave first." "Yes." Shuezhu responded respectfully and turned to leave. The Ghost King looked at the white-eyed wolf and said, "You're looking for a heaven-defying divine artifact, right? Unfortunately, it's not here." "Then where is it?" The white-eyed wolf instinctively asked, but then realized that he had spilled the beans. He hurriedly waved his little paws and said, No, definitely not." The Ghost King's veins were bulging. Was there any point in quibbling? "White-eyed wolf, don't you know that a person's instinctive reaction is the most realistic?" Madman laughed. "Bastard, which side are you on?" The white-eyed wolf glared at him. Madman chuckled and said, "I'm on the side of justice. I exist to destroy evil forces like you. Shameless?" The white-eyed wolf rolled his eyes at him. Madman also rolled his eyes and said, "Stop fooling around. The Ghost King has a treasure to show us." "Treasure?" The white-eyed wolf was stunned. Then his eyes lit up. He looked at the Ghost King and asked anxiously, "What treasure?" The Ghost King said, "If I say it's a heaven-defying divine artifact, would you believe me?" "Only a ghost would believe you." The white-eyed wolf pouted. "You know it too. You're still strolling around? How bored are you to come here for a stroll?" The Ghost King looked at the white-eyed wolf in disdain. He finally understood what Madman said to him before he left. This wolf cub was not easy to deal with. Staying in the Ghost King's ancient city was just asking for trouble. "Ha!" The white-eyed wolf smiled embarrassedly. The Ghost King did not pursue the matter. After all, he was Madman's friend. "Don't resist. I'll bring you to a place." With that, the Ghost King waved his hand. Madman and the white-eyed wolf instantly felt their bodies lighten. In the next instant, they followed the Ghost King and appeared in an unfamiliar place. This was a huge stone room. In the entire stone room, other than a long metal box placed in the left corner, there was nothing else. It seemed extremely spacious. "This is..." The white-eyed wolf and Madman stood in the middle and looked around curiously. "This is the second floor of the main hall. Only I and the 10 commanders can enter and exit freely," the Ghost King said. It's really the second floor? The white-eyed wolf mumbled and immediately looked at the only metal box in the corner. Could it be that it contained a heaven-defying divine artifact? When he thought of this, his heart burned with excitement and he hurriedly ran toward the metal box. Seeing this, the Ghost King couldn't help but frown. "White-eyed wolf, what are you doing?" Madman said angrily. The white-eyed wolf roared without turning his head. "Don't stop me, otherwise don't blame me for falling out with you." Madman's face was filled with anger. "This time I really have to stop you," the Ghost King said in a deep voice. His big hand grabbed the air, and the metal box immediately rose into the air and landed in his hand like a stream of light. The white-eyed wolf was stunned and hurriedly turned to look at the Ghost King, saying, "I'm just looking. I have no other intentions." "Do you think I'm an idiot?" The Ghost King snorted coldly. "Why can't there be more trust between people?" The white-eyed wolf shook his head and sighed, his face filled with helplessness. "Trust? To hell with it," the Ghost King sneered. Madman glanced at the white-eyed wolf and asked curiously, "Ghost King, is there really a heaven-defying divine artifact in this metal box?" The Ghost King nodded. When the white-eyed wolf heard this, his eyes immediately glowed green. If it weren't for the fact that he was afraid of the Ghost King's strength, he would probably have snatched it by force. Madman smiled and said, "Then there's no harm in taking a look." The white-eyed wolf nodded and said, Yes, we'll just take a look and definitely won't snatch it." Looking at the white-eyed wolf's covetous look, the Ghost King couldn't help but shake his head and smile bitterly. "Actually, a heaven-defying divine artifact has no value to our blood demon race." "What do you mean?" The white-eyed wolf's brain couldn't wrap around it. Madman said, "There are rules in the Nether King's hell, so we can't use heaven-defying divine artifacts. Naturally, it has no value." "That seems to be the case." The white-eyed wolf nodded and looked at the Ghost King. "Then why are you still keeping it? Why don't you give it to us as a favor?" "Do you think I need a favor from you?" The Ghost King found it funny. "Why are you so stubborn?" The white-eyed wolf was a little annoyed. "There's a seal on this metal box. If the seal is opened and the heaven-defying divine artifact appears, the power of rules will descend. At that time you will know the consequences," the Ghost King said. "Seal?" The madman was slightly taken aback. He scanned the metal box and discovered that there was indeed a layer of mysterious power on the metal box. The white-eyed wolf asked suspiciously, "Since there's a seal, how do you know that there's a heaven-defying divine artifact inside? This is the first time you've come to the Nether King's hell, so there's some common knowledge that you don't know. It's actually very easy to distinguish whether a box contains a heaven-defying divine artifact or a heaven-defying divine art. Because in the Nether King's hell, other than heaven-defying divine artifacts and divine arts, there won't be any seals. In other words, as long as you encounter something with a seal on it, there will definitely be a heaven-defying divine artifact inside. As for this metal box, it's rectangular. Judging from this, it's definitely not a divine art. Because divine arts don't need such a big box to contain them. Naturally, there's a heaven-defying divine artifact inside," the Ghost King explained. "So that's the case." The white-eyed wolf and the madman were suddenly enlightened. "Then who sealed these heaven-defying divine artifacts? Also, how can we undo these seals?" the white-eyed wolf asked. "I really don't know who sealed these heaven-defying divine artifacts. It might be the ruler of the Nether King's hell, or it might be someone else. But I know a way to undo the seals. As long as you leave the Nether King's hell, the seals will be undone by themselves," the Ghost King said. The madman frowned and said, "In other words, we can't open the metal box at all?" "Yes." The Ghost King nodded. "Since you can't open it, why are you stopping me?" The white-eyed wolf was dissatisfied. "There's always an accident. What if for some reason you have to break the seals and open the metal box?" "This king is doing this for your safety," said the king. "After all, the two of you can absorb the power of evil. You can't be treated as ordinary people," the Ghost King said. "That's true." The madman nodded. The Ghost King was doing this for their own good. They had to accept this kindness. The white-eyed wolf asked, "Then what's the treasure you mentioned?" The Ghost King looked around and said with a smile, "It's this stone chamber." The madman and the white-eyed wolf sized up the stone chamber in shock. This was a treasure? Why didn't they feel anything at all? On the surface, you definitely can't see anything, but in fact, this is the true treasure. The Ghost King said. The white-eyed wolf urged, "Don't keep us in suspense. Tell us directly." The Ghost King said, "I believe you should have heard of the time array." Yes. The white-eyed wolf and the madman nodded. How could it be just heard? They were very familiar with it. Wait a minute. You mean there's a time array here? The white-eyed wolf was bewildered. Yes. And the time array here is 500 years per day. The Ghost King smiled. What? 500 years per day? The man and the wolf were dumbfounded. This was too shocking. It was even more terrifying than the ancient castle and the black tortoise world. This wasn't a joke, right? How could there be such a heaven-defying time array in this world? 500 years per day. What kind of concept was this? Even the half-step ninth heaven's realm white-eyed wolf would definitely be able to break through a small realm before long. Chapter 26:17. I'm not joking with you guys. In the future, you guys can cultivate here as you wish. There are no additional conditions. The Ghost King smiled. Really? The white-eyed wolf asked. Yes. The Ghost King nodded. The white-eyed wolf was extremely excited. This was indeed more valuable than a heaven-defying artifact. Although a heaven-defying artifact was very powerful, it was ultimately an external object. How could it be more important than one's own cultivation? The lunatic was also rather excited. But suddenly, he frowned and looked at the white-eyed wolf. You seem to be happy too early? Why? The white-eyed wolf was puzzled. The Ghost King also looked at the lunatic in confusion. We don't have any soul stones. The lunatic smiled bitterly. The white-eyed wolf was dumbfounded. That's right. He and the lunatic didn't have any soul stones. They were all with Qin Feiyang. Without soul stones, no matter how powerful the time array was, it wouldn't be of much use. If I knew this would be the case, I would have gotten some soul stones myself. The white-eyed wolf was very regretful. The lunatic looked at the Ghost King and asked, "Do you guys have any soul stones here?" The white-eyed wolf also looked at the Ghost King expectantly. I've heard of soul stones, but I don't have any. After all, you guys have also seen that the living beings of the Nether King's hell rely on the evil force to cultivate. The Ghost King shook his head. When the ingrate heard that, disappointment filled his face. Who cares? Without soul stones, we'll just absorb the evil force to cultivate. The Ghost King has already sent someone to look for Qin Feiyang. With the Blood Demon race's understanding of the Nether King's hell, I believe they'll be able to find him soon. The lunatic comforted. That's the only way. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Although absorbing the evil force wasn't as fast as refining soul stones, they could only make do for now. 500 years in a day, 5,000 years in 10 days, and 50,000 years in a day. If they couldn't find Qin Feiyang, they could just use time to break through a small realm. Madman pondered for a moment and asked, Ghost King, can the evil power outside enter this stone room? Of course. We used to absorb the evil energy here to cultivate. The Ghost King waved his hand, and 2 windows appeared in the originally sealed stone room. They could clearly see the outside. The evil energy outside immediately surged into the stone chamber. Then let's begin. The madman sat cross-legged on the ground, and a powerful suction force appeared. The evil power immediately surged into his body. The white-eyed wolf also lay on the ground, and a terrifying suction force appeared on its body, causing the evil energy to continuously rush into its body. The 2 of them absorbing at the same time caused a huge commotion. The evil power in the entire ancient city of King Yu was gushing towards the stone room. I can really absorb it. Furthermore, their speed of absorption is even faster than our Blood Demon clan. King Yu stood at the side and looked at this scene with a shocked expression. 1 day, 2 days, only 3 days passed. 1/3 of the power of evil in the entire ancient city of King Yu had been absorbed by the man and the wolf. Lord King Yu, we can't go on like this. The evil energy is being absorbed by them. How are we going to cultivate? Very soon, the Blood Demon clan began to complain to the Ghost King. The Ghost King didn't expect that the man and the wolf's absorption speed would be so terrifying. It was like a bottomless pit that couldn't be filled. 10 days passed. The white-eyed wolf and the madman were no longer satisfied, and they began to increase their efforts to absorb the evil energy outside the city. The Blood Demon clan could forget about absorbing the evil energy now. All the evil energy that they absorbed was surging into the stone room. The entire stone room was shrouded in a blood mist, and the density was extremely shocking. Half a year passed. No trace of the evil energy could be found within a radius of a few billion miles. The appearance of this phenomenon caused a commotion among the beasts in the area. The Blood Demon clan was even more helpless. Why didn't the Ghost King do anything about it? What's going on? Where's the evil energy? This morning, a blood-eyed giant at the Great Perfection Ninth Heaven realm was galloping above a mountain range, scanning the area in front of him. In the void, he couldn't sense the existence of the evil energy at all. Did something happen in the ancient city of the Ghost King? The blood-eyed giant's eyelids twitched, and he quickly accelerated towards the ancient city of the Ghost King. Soon, he entered the plane. Blood 10th? The blood-eyed giant guarding the plane opened his eyes. When he saw the blood-eyed giant that suddenly appeared, there was a trace of surprise in his eyes. That's right. The blood-eyed giant that entered the plane was Blood 10th, who was ordered to report the situation of the mysterious sky ancient city to the Ghost King. Bloodboat, what's going on? Why can't I sense the evil energy? Blood 10th was bewildered. Bloodboat couldn't help but reveal a bitter smile and said helplessly, "Go in. You'll know once you enter." All right. Blood 10th nodded and flew into the ancient city of the Ghost King, heading straight for the palace. Soon he realized that all the evil energy was rushing towards the second floor of the palace. What's going on? At the same time, the first floor of the palace. Is there still no news? The Ghost King sat at the top and looked at the 10 commanders below as he asked. Many of the clansmen that were sent out have yet to return. There is no news of Qin Feiyong for the time being. Blood first shook his head. No matter what, we must find him. The Ghost King said. Yes. Blood first nodded. Blood 2 looked at the top of the hall and frowned. Lord Ghost King, this has been going on for half a year. Our clansmen are complaining now. Isn't it just absorbing some evil energy? Frenzy is the benefactor of our blood demon tribe. We must know how to be grateful. We'll talk about it later. They will stay in the Nether King's hell for at most 1,000 years. When they leave, won't everything return to normal? Just let our clansmen bear with it for a while, the Ghost King said. Sigh. The 10 commanders sighed. Sometimes they couldn't help but wonder who exactly was the blood demon tribe. A human and a wolf cub. Their speed of absorbing the evil energy was even more ridiculous than the native blood demon tribe. Blood 10th from the mysterious sky ancient city is here to see the Ghost King. Suddenly, a respectful greeting came from outside. Blood 10th. The 10 commanders were stunned. Come in, the Ghost King said. Blood 10th strode into the hall and knelt on one knee in the middle of the hall. He said respectfully, Greetings, Lord Ghost King. Get up, the Ghost King said with a smile. Blood 10th got up. Blood 10th, why didn't you stay in the mysterious sky ancient city? Why did you come to our Ghost King's ancient city? Don't tell me you miss us. The 10 commanders teased. From the looks of it, they were old acquaintances. Miss you guys? You're thinking too much. Blood 10th rolled his eyes at them, but his face was full of smiles. The Ghost King asked Blood 10th, You said you have something to see me about. What is it? Blood 10th hurriedly knelt on one knee again and said, Lord Ghost King, please forgive the City Lord's mistake. Mistake? The Ghost King was slightly stunned and frowned. Did something happen in the mysterious sky ancient city? Yes. Blood 10th nodded. Blood Dao said, Don't tell me it's humans again? It's them. Blood 10th said in disgust. Those damn bastards. Quickly tell us in detail. What happened? Blood Dao urged. It's like this. Shui Laosher described the situation in detail. Bastards. They actually killed so many of our clansmen. The 10 commanders were furious. The Ghost King could not help but frown. Lord Ghost King. The City Lord gave them the mysterious sky ancient city because he had no choice. His original intention was to protect his clansmen. It's all because of these damn humans. They went back on their words and caused so many of our clansmen to die unjustly. Lord Ghost King, please show mercy. Blood Tenth pleaded. The Ghost King pondered for a while and sighed. Indeed, you can't blame your city lord for this. Thank you, Lord Ghost King. Blood Tenth was very grateful. The Ghost King asked, you said that a human helped you guys. Who is this person? This person is called Qin Feiyang. His cultivation is not very high, but his methods are quite powerful. Blood Tenth said truthfully. Qin Feiyang? The 10 commanders were taken aback. The Ghost King's expression was also rather startled. It couldn't be so coincidental, right? What's wrong? Could it be that there's something wrong with this Qin Feiyang? Don't worry, he's still in the mysterious sky ancient city. I'll kill him immediately when I return. Blood Tenth said. Wait a moment. The Ghost King waved his hand and a phantom appeared. This was Qin Feiyang's phantom. The Ghost King looked at Blood Tenth and asked, is the Qin Feiyang you saw him? Yes. It's him. Blood Tenth nodded. It's really as the saying goes, one can wear out iron shoes in a fruitless search, only to find it by chance. The Ghost King shook his head. Yes. The most important thing is that he actually helped our blood demon tribe. The 10 commanders were also very emotional. Fate was such a wonderful thing. What does this mean? Blood Tenth was a little confused. Blood Tenth, we're also looking for this Qin Feiyang. However, we're not going to kill him. We're going to invite him to the Ghost King ancient city. Blood Tenth laughed. Invite him? Blood Tenth was stunned. That's right. Half a year ago, the dragons planned to snatch our Ghost King ancient city's heaven-defying artifact. It was also a human who helped us. This human is Qin Feiyang's friend. Now he's on the 2nd floor. I believe you've seen it too. The evil force is because of him. Blood Tenth said. I see. Blood Tenth was enlightened. The Ghost King looked at Blood Tenth and said, go back now and ask him to come to the Ghost King ancient city immediately. Wait. I'm a little worried. The Ghost King pondered for a while and looked at Blood Tenth. You'll go with him. You must ensure the safety of Qin Feiyang along the way. Yes. Blood Tenth replied respectfully. Then go. Don't tell him about Frenzy and Wolf Cub first. When he enters the Ghost King ancient city, we'll give him a surprise. The Ghost King smiled. Okay. Blood Tenth nodded and looked at Blood Tenth saying, let's go. Goodbye, Lord Ghost King. Blood Tenth bowed respectfully and got up to leave. The Ghost King said, go back and tell your city lord to be careful next time. Yes. Blood Tenth nodded. After Blood Tenth and Blood Tenth left, the Ghost King shook his head and smiled, saying, it seems that Qin Feiyang and Frenzy are really fated with our blood demon tribe. Yes. Blood Two and the others looked at each other and nodded with a smile on their faces. Chapter 26:18. When Blood Tenth came, it took him half a year. Naturally, it would take him half a year to return. In total, it would be 1 year. Just reporting a single matter would take a year. If this were to happen outside, it would be an inconceivable matter. But it was very normal in the Netherworld King's hell. The mysterious Heaven Ancient City was relatively close to the ancient King Yu City. It was an even further ancient city. It was common for a trip to and fro the ancient King Yu City to take decades or even centuries. However, the blood demon race was already used to this situation. A few decades or a few hundred years would pass in the blink of an eye to them. Another half a year passed. Blood Tenth and Blood Eldest finally returned to the mysterious Heaven Ancient City. 1 year passed. There were no changes to the mysterious Heaven Ancient City. However, on the same day, Qin Feiyang opened his eyes. His cultivation level had reached the perfected Paragon God realm. In just 1 year, he had suddenly advanced by a small realm. To be honest, he was reluctant to leave now. Why don't I just stay here and cultivate in seclusion? In the palace of the mysterious Heaven Ancient City, 1 day was 200 years. If he stayed here until the day he left the Netherworld King's hell, he would definitely be able to reach the perfected 9th heaven realm. He might even reach the imperishable realm. Boom! Just as Qin Feiyang was thinking, a powerful aura suddenly descended from outside. And Qin Feiyang was shocked. This aura belonged to the perfected 9th heaven realm blood demon race. He had seen the perfected 9th heaven realm in the mysterious Heaven Ancient City. Therefore, he could tell that the owner of this aura was not from the mysterious Heaven Ancient City. Wait! There's another aura. It's Blood 10th. He has returned from the ancient King city? In that case, this unfamiliar aura should belong to the blood demon race in the ancient King city. Why did the blood demon race in the ancient King city come to the mysterious heaven ancient city? To punish the one-eyed giant? Or is it because of him? Qin Feiyong frowned. At the same time, outside, the blood demons in the mysterious heaven ancient city were in a panic. Of course they knew the commander. In the entire Netherworld King's Hell, the commander was above everyone else. The commander actually came to the mysterious heaven ancient city? They were definitely here to punish the city lord. Grand Commander, I beg you to be magnanimous and forgive the city lord. The city lord was also forced. Many blood demons began to plead for the Cyclops. Shweta stood in the air above the ancient city. Xue Laoshi stood at the side and looked at the worried clansmen below. He couldn't help but explain. Cough cough. However, Shweta coughed dryly and stopped Xue Laoshi. Blood Elder 11 was stunned. He looked at the great commander in confusion. Whoosh! With the sound of something breaking through the air, the Cyclops flew out from the palace and landed in front of Shweta. He bowed and said, "Greetings, great commander." Yes. Shweta put his hands behind his back and nodded expressionlessly. He asked, "Do you know your crime?" "I know my mistake." The Cyclops nodded. Xue said, "Then tell me, what mistakes have you made?" Seeing that Shweta was really here to cause trouble for the Cyclops, the blood demons below were extremely nervous. "I didn't dare to trust the humans so easily. I gave the mysterious heaven ancient city to them and caused countless casualties," the Cyclops giant said. "And?" Shweta asked. "Nothing else." The Cyclops giant shook his head. "Are you sure?" Shweta frowned. "I'm sure." The Cyclops giant nodded. "Then what about Qin Feiyong? You actually let Qin Feiyong, a human, stay in the mysterious heaven ancient city, and even let him enter the second level to cultivate. Do you know how big of a crime it is to help a human? Let me tell you, this is a capital crime." Shweta shouted. "Capital crime? Great Commander. It's indeed wrong to let a human stay in the mysterious heaven ancient city. But we owe Qin Feiyong a favor. Didn't Lord Ghost King always teach us to repay kindness? Great Commander, please don't kill the city lord. All these years he has managed the mysterious heaven ancient city. Even if he didn't make any contributions, he still worked hard." The blood demons below trembled and hurriedly knelt on one knee to plead for the Cyclops giant. However, the great commander turned a deaf ear. The Cyclops giant lowered his head and said without any complaints, "I'm willing to accept my punishment. City Lord, let me out." But at this moment, Qin Feiyong's voice came from the palace. The Cyclops giant frowned and looked down at the palace. With a wave of his hand, Qin Feiyong immediately appeared outside. Qin Feiyong didn't hesitate and stepped into the sky and stopped beside the Cyclops giant. "Why did you come out?" the Cyclops giant asked telepathically. "Even if you don't come out, the great commander will go in and find me sooner or later." Qin Feiyong smiled faintly and looked at the great commander. "It's not the city lord's fault. I insisted on staying in the mysterious heaven ancient city." The Cyclops giant was stunned. Was he trying to absolve him? Shweta was also stunned. He originally thought that Qin Feiyong came out to absolve him, but he didn't expect that Qin Feiyong would speak up for the Cyclops giant. "We didn't misjudge him. This human is responsible." Xue Laoshi and the blood demons below all looked at Qin Feiyong with admiration. Shweta looked at Qin Feiyong and said in a deep voice, "Do you know what the consequences will be? As long as it doesn't implicate the city lord and the blood demons in the mysterious heaven ancient city, I will bear any consequences." Qin Feiyong said. "Even if you die?" Shweta asked. "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded. "Good. I'll grant you your wish." Shweta's eyes turned cold and he slapped at Qin Feiyong. The terrifying power even shattered the void. Qin Feiyong didn't move. But the Cyclops giant stood in front of Qin Feiyong and blocked Shweta. "What are you doing?" Shweta was furious. "Great Commander, Qin Feiyong is the benefactor of the mysterious heaven ancient city. Aren't you biting the hand that feeds you by doing this?" The Cyclops giant roared. "Do you have the right to criticize me in front of you?" Shweta shouted. I'm just protecting a benefactor. I don't want to disappoint those who have helped us. Although the Cyclops giant was almost half of Shweda's height, he stood straight and wasn't afraid at all. How dare you? Shweda shouted as his eyes flashed coldly. Qin Feiyong looked at the Cyclops giant and then at Shweda. He smiled and said, "Great commander, right? Can you give me some time?" "What do you want?" Shweda frowned. "I want to challenge you. If I win, you let the city lord go. If I lose, you can do whatever you want with me." Qin Feiyong said. "Challenge me?" Shweda was shocked. Was this human kid crazy? The Cyclops giant and Xue Laoshi also looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. A paragon god wanted to challenge a peak 9 heavens realm? And the great commander of the blood demons? Wasn't this suicidal? Haha, Shweda looked at Qin Feiyong and suddenly laughed. "Kid, you have guts. Okay, I'll satisfy you." As soon as he finished speaking, Shweda's cultivation suddenly began to plummet. Finally, Big Xue suppressed his cultivation base to that of a great circle transcendent god. He looked at Qin Feiyong and said proudly, "Don't say that I'm bullying you. If you can force me back with the same cultivation base, I'll consider it your win." Qin Feiyong looked at Shweda in astonishment. Along the way, no one had ever dared to be so arrogant in front of him. Just force him back? How much did he look down on him? How is it? The great commander looked at Qin Feiyong provocatively. Qin Feiyong raised the corner of his mouth and smiled. "It's not too late to take back your words," the great commander said. "My blood demon clan has always been a man of his word." "Good." Qin Feiyong nodded. His aura suddenly erupted, the power in his body surged out, and he threw a punch at the great commander with all his strength. However, the great commander didn't dodge at all. He didn't have any intention of defending. He just stood there, his expression full of contempt. Boom! Qin Feiyong punched the great commander, but he was shocked to find that the great commander was like a towering mountain, standing motionless in the void. This shocked Qin Feiyong. He had also experienced the physical body of the blood demon clan, but this great commander was much, much stronger than the ordinary blood demons. "What's wrong? Is that all you've got? It's not even enough to scratch an itch for me." The great commander laughed, the disdain on his face even stronger. "Amazing." Qin Feiyong let out a long breath and gave the great commander a thumbs up. "You admit defeat just like that? It seems that you humans are indeed a bunch of trash." The great commander sneered. "Admit defeat? I, Qin Feiyong, don't have the word admit defeat in my dictionary." A cold light surged in Qin Feiyong's eyes. He decisively activated the 3,000 incarnations and shouted, "Send him flying." The 3,000 incarnations immediately swarmed forward. What the hell? The great commander looked at this scene in astonishment. Boom! 3,000 incarnations were equivalent to 3,000 Qin Feiyong. What kind of lineup was this? Besides, after being tempered by the heavenly tribulation, the strength and power of Qin Feiyong's physical body were much stronger than those of the same realm. Boom! Facing the bombardment of the storm, the great commander couldn't hold on any longer. He was sent flying and smashed into the mountain outside the city. He looked extremely embarrassed. Amazing! He said he would send the Grand Commander flying, and he really did. The faces of the blood demons below were full of admiration. It turned out that the strength of this human boy was quite strong. Whoosh! The great commander flew into the sky and looked at Qin Feiyong. He was a little angry out of humiliation. "Did you see that? I didn't even make a move." Qin Feiyong laughed. He indeed didn't make a move before. He just watched the 3,000 incarnations beat up the great commander. The great commander patted the soil off his body and looked at the incarnations. A trace of surprise appeared in his eyes. "They don't seem to be incarnations? Then tell me, if they aren't incarnations, what are they?" Qin Feiyong said. "How would I know?" Shweta glared at him angrily and shook his head. "But they definitely aren't incarnations. Incarnations can't be so strong." Qin Feiyong didn't explain. He waved his hand and the 3,000 incarnations disappeared. He asked indifferently, "Does this count as my win?" "Humph." Shweta snorted coldly, looking very unconvinced. But he was shocked. Just this method alone was probably unparalleled in this world. If this person was also at the peak ninth heaven realm, he might be able to kill him instantly. Compared to his method, this person's attitude was even more terrifying. Calm down, calm down. It was as if he wouldn't panic even if the sky fell. This human was indeed not a simple person. No wonder the dragons wanted to get rid of him so much. Chapter 26:19. Hurry up and tell me. Is this considered my win? Qin Feiyang said impatiently. Initially, he wanted to take the Heaven and Earth Chaos Pill and try his luck to see if he could break through to the ninth heaven realm. If he was lucky enough to break through to the ninth heaven realm, he would try his luck with the commander. However, he did not expect that the commander would be so arrogant as to suppress his cultivation level to the same level as him. He even said that as long as he could force him to retreat, he would win. Wasn't this giving him a chance? He had never been afraid of anyone in the same realm. The commander could not put down his pride. After all, he was at the perfected ninth heaven realm and was above everyone in hell. However, he was defeated by a human boy. Moreover, it was in front of everyone. Wouldn't he become a joke in the future? However, at the same time, as everyone was watching, he could not go back on his words. If he went back on his words, everyone would mock him. You win. In the end, the commander could only nod his head helplessly. He should not have suppressed his cultivation level. It was too embarrassing. The blood demon below asked, "What about the city lord?" "Not guilty." The commander shook his head. "Sure. Thank you, commander." "Thank you, brother." The blood demon was overjoyed. "Thank you, commander." The Cyclops also bowed to express his gratitude. The commander waved his hands and looked at Qin Feiyang. He snorted and said, "Human boy, do you dare to follow me to the ancient city of the Qingyu?" "Ancient city of the Qingyu?" Qin Feiyang was stunned. "This is Lord Yu's order. You have to go. I came here personally because I was ordered to bring you to the ancient city of the Qingyu. Once you go, it may be a dead end. Do you have the guts to do so?" The commander said expressionlessly. Qin Feiyang could not help but frown. "Why? You don't dare?" The commander sneered. The Cyclops looked at Qin Feiyang and then at the commander. He asked, "Commander, what exactly does Lord Yu want to do? Don't ask what you shouldn't ask." The commander raised his eyebrows and chided. "Yes." The Cyclops replied respectfully, but there was a hint of hesitation in his eyes. "I'm fine." Qin Feiyang looked at the one-eyed giant and smiled. He then turned to the commander and said, "As long as it doesn't involve the mysterious Heaven Ancient City, I don't mind going anywhere." "All right. How righteous. Then let's go." The senior commander laughed and didn't say anything else. He immediately turned around and flew out of the city. However, when he turned around, a trace of admiration appeared in his eyes. Qin Feiyang glanced at the blood demons below, then at Xue Laoshi, and finally at the Cyclops. He cupped his hands and said, "Thank you for your care over the past year, City Lord. See you again." The Cyclops shook his head and reminded, "Be careful." "Yes." Qin Feiyang smiled and nodded at Xue Laoshi. He then turned and chased after the Grand Commander. Sigh. Looking at Qin Feiyang's back, the Cyclops couldn't help but sigh. Xue Laoshi walked to the Cyclops' side and looked at Qin Feiyang's back. He smiled and said, "City Lord, you don't have to do this. He will be fine." The Cyclops was stunned and asked suspiciously, "What do you mean?" Xue Laoshi shook his head and said, "The Ghost King didn't punish you in the first place." "What? He didn't punish me? Then why did the commander?" The Cyclops was stunned. It's very clear that Grand Commander wants to test Qin Feiyang's character. Xue Laoshi said. "I see." The Cyclops was enlightened. Therefore, this time, Qin Feiyang's trip to the Ghost King Ancient City might be a good opportunity for him. Xue Laoshi smiled. "That's good. As for Qin Feiyang's character, according to my observations over the past year, there is definitely no problem," the Cyclops said. Outside the city, after Qin Feiyang caught up with the commander, he turned to look at the mysterious Heaven Ancient City. Although it was only a short year, for some reason, there was a trace of reluctance in his heart. It might be because of the time array. It might also be because of those simple blood demons. The commander turned to look at him and said, If you don't want to go, you can say it. I won't force you. If you don't force me, you will force the city lord and the others. Is there a difference? Qin Feiyong said indifferently. The commander said in surprise, You care so much about them? Qin Feiyong nodded. Why? If I didn't calculate wrongly, you have only been with them for a year. The commander frowned. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, Because I like them and admire them. Compared to humans, they are easier to get along with. I see. The commander nodded in realization and snorted coldly. That's true. At least we blood demons won't break our promises like you humans. Qin Feiyong hesitated for a moment before saying, Actually, not all humans are like that. Who knows? All right, let's not talk about this anymore. Let's go. You're too slow. I'll carry you. With that, the commander swept up Qin Feiyong and tore through the air like lightning. After Qin Feiyong and the commander left, 2 men and a woman slowly walked out of the forest not far away. We're finally out. The one who spoke was the woman. She was about 1.8 meters tall and in her 20s. She was as beautiful as a fairy. She wore a snow-white dress and looked like a fairy. Leaving the mysterious heaven ancient city will be his doomsday. A young man beside her spoke. He was dressed in purple and held a folding fan in his hand. His long hair draped over his shoulders and he looked rather elegant. However, there was a trace of gloomy killing intent between his brows. Not necessarily. Do you know who the blood demon who brought him away is? He's the commander of the ancient city, Shweda. His strength is second only to the Ghost King. Another person spoke. This person was a burly man and his expression was extremely gloomy. His aura had reached the peak 9th heaven realm. Second only to the Ghost King. The purple-clad young man and the white-clad woman were both shocked. However, it doesn't matter if it's just him alone. When the time comes, I'll hold him back. Du Yuntian, you'll be responsible for killing Qin Feiyong. The burly man said. Understood. The purple-clad young man nodded with a smile. Don't underestimate the enemy. Don't end up like Wu Baichuan. The white-clad woman said. Don't worry, Your Highness. It's easy to deal with Qin Feiyong, who doesn't have a heaven-defying divine artifact and divine art. The purple-clad young man smiled confidently. The burly man glanced at the purple-clad young man and said, Then let's go. Shweta didn't activate a supreme-grade auxiliary divine art. When we catch up, we'll ambush them and catch them off guard. After saying that, the burly man waved his hand and swept up the 2 of them. With a mysterious step, they instantly disappeared. Half a month later, in the sky above a mountain range, 2 figures were moving as fast as lightning. They were Qin Feiyong and the Grand Commander. With Shweta, the Grand Commander, there were naturally no ferocious beasts blocking their way. Their journey was smooth and unobstructed. Why don't you blood demons make something like a teleportation altar? This way you can save a lot of time. Qin Feiyong asked. Teleportation altar? The Grand Commander was slightly taken aback and asked, Are you talking about the altars you humans use? Yes and no. I'm talking about the fixed altars, not the one-time teleportation altars, Qin Feiyong said. For example, the teleportation altar between the Forgotten Continent and the Great Qin Empire. No matter if it's fixed or one-time, the Nether King's hell cannot be used. The Grand Commander shook his head. That's really inconvenient. Qin Feiyong said. It doesn't matter if you're used to it. I believe that in your world, those ordinary people without cultivation should be the same as us. The Grand Commander said. More or less. Qin Feiyong nodded. The world of ordinary people also use this most primitive method. Because ordinary people were unable to activate the image crystal. Tens of millions of miles ahead. 2 figures stood side by side. It was the burly man and the white-clothed woman. But they didn't see the purple-clothed youth. The white-clothed woman said in a deep voice, In order to find a chance to kill Qin Feiyong, we have been lurking outside the mysterious sky ancient city for more than half a year. We absolutely cannot fail again. Don't worry, this time he definitely won't be able to escape. The burly man laughed. Whoosh! Suddenly, dozens of figures rushed over from behind. The person in the lead was the purple-clothed youth. Behind him, there were a total of more than 20 people. Half of them were at the Great Perfection Ninth Heaven stage, and the other half were also at the Great Perfection Ninth Heaven stage. The white-clothed woman and the burly man turned their heads and were stunned. "Greetings, Lord Ancestral Dragon." "Greetings, Your Highness." The group of people landed on the mountain peak and respectfully knelt in front of the white-clothed woman and the burly man. "Deity, who are they?" The white-clothed woman was puzzled. "Your Highness, they are all from the Dragon God Palace. When I went to investigate the situation just now, I accidentally encountered them. When they learned of our plan, they shouted that they wanted to help us. I saw that their cultivation levels were not bad, so I took the initiative to bring them back," the purple-clothed youth said respectfully. "I see." The white-clothed woman suddenly understood. She turned her head to look at the burly man, seeking his opinion. The burly man glanced at the group of people and pondered for a while before sending a voice transmission. "Your Highness, these people are indeed quite strong. Why don't we keep them as cannon fodder?" "Okay." The white-clothed woman nodded and looked at the group of people with a smile. "Get up." "Thank you, Your Highness." The group of people stood up and glanced at the white-clothed woman from time to time. Was this the true appearance of the dragon's princess? The burly man looked at Deity and asked, "Is there any situation nearby? Other than some ferocious beasts, I didn't see a single blood demon. You can rest assured." Deity smiled. "Very good." The burly man was delighted and shouted, "I can already sense Shweda's aura. Everyone get ready. We must kill him in one blow." "Yes." The group of people responded respectfully and restrained their aura. They looked at the void in front of them and prepared to attack. A moment later, whoosh! 2 figures flew over from the void in the distance. "It's really Qin Feiyong." The group of people's eyes flashed with killing intent. If they met Qin Feiyong outside, they would definitely not dare to have any thoughts. But it was different now. They were in the Nether King's hell. Qin Feiyong's methods were basically restricted. He was no different from an ordinary person. Killing him was as easy as flipping a hand. For them, this was also a good opportunity to make a name for themselves. As long as they could kill Qin Feiyong, they would definitely be valued by the dragons in the future. Soaring to the heavens in one step was not a dream. Chapter 26:20. Very quickly, Qin Feiyong and Shweta flew over. The group of people hid their auras, and there were many big trees on the mountain peak, so the two did not notice anything unusual. Boom! Just as Qin Feiyong and Shweta flew over the mountain peak, a group of people immediately erupted with a terrifying aura and attacked the two. Without warning, they were caught off guard. Qin Feiyong and Shweta were caught off guard. Perfect divine level, peak divine level, legendary divine artifact, perfect divine technique, peak divine technique, teleportation divine artifact. There was also a terrifying divine power. It blasted towards the two of them. In just an instant, Qin Feiyong was covered with bruises, and his life was in danger. At this critical moment, Shweta finally reacted. He stepped forward and unleashed his godly power, protecting Qin Feiyong with all his might. Clang! But at the same time, 2 more terrifying divine artifacts blasted Shweda's body. They were a folding fan and a crimson machete. The 2 divine artifacts blasted Shweda's body, and Shweta spat out a mouthful of blood on the spot. His body was badly mutilated, and blood splattered everywhere. Without any hesitation, Shweta immediately took Qin Feiyong and retreated, shouting, "Are you okay?" "I won't die yet," Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, took out more than a dozen divine life pills, and stuffed them all into his mouth. The majestic life energy suddenly exploded in his body. These divine life pills all had 4 veins. Moreover, he had fused with the fire of life, and his bloodline power had an extremely strong healing ability. Therefore, the speed of his recovery was far faster than that of other humans. "It's good that you're okay." Shweta breathed a sigh of relief. If Qin Feiyong died on the way, he would not be able to report back. Roar! Immediately, he roared towards the sky, and the power of the evil sun descended and merged into his body. Immediately, the injuries on his body healed rapidly, several times faster than Qin Feiyong. "I really envy these blood demons," Qin Feiyong muttered. "Kill them quickly." At this moment, A loud shout was heard. Qin Feiyong and Li Wuyo raised their heads and saw the 20 or so people rushing towards them. How dare you sneak attack us? You're courting death. Shweta was enraged and was about to charge forward. But at this moment, Qin Feiyong said, "Retreat for now." Retreat? Shweta raised an eyebrow. Quick! Qin Feiyong urged. Although Shweta was dissatisfied, he still listened to Qin Feiyong's suggestion. He immediately took Qin Feiyong with him and used a supreme-level support-type divine art to continuously retreat. In the face of a supreme-grade auxiliary divine art, those 20 people couldn't catch up at all. Damn it! I'll kill you even like this. That explosive roar sounded again. This voice, old bastard, it really is you. The dignified ancestral dragon actually hides your head and hides your tail to launch a sneak attack. Aren't you afraid of embarrassing the dragons? Qin Feiyong bellowed. Whoosh! 3 figures flew into the sky. It was the burly man, the white-clothed woman, and the purple-clothed youth. The purple-clothed youth waved his hand, and the folding fan returned to his hand. The crimson scimitar also returned to the burly man. Fire dragon, ancestral dragon. Du Yuntian. Qin Feiyong looked at the 3 people and said word by word. However, when he saw the white-clothed woman, he was slightly stunned. Who was this woman? So it's you. Shweta also stared at the burly man angrily. That's right. Unfortunately, I still underestimated your strength. Even such a sudden sneak attack couldn't kill you. Fire dragon, ancestral dragon said. You want to kill me with just you? Shweta laughed disdainfully. The injuries on his body had already healed. His aura was terrifying beyond compare. This is the blood demon race? Not only is he ridiculously strong, but his injuries also heal so quickly. It's really terrifying. The 20 or so people murmured, and a trace of fear crept into their eyes. What are you afraid of? Du Yuntian, you and I will restrain Shweta. The rest of you go after Qin Feiyong. Fire dragon, ancestral dragon roared. Okay. Du Yuntian nodded. The 2 of them immediately grabbed the folding fan and scimitar and charged toward the commander. Qin Feiyong said in a deep voice, Du Yuntian, are you courting death? Courting death? Haha. Qin Feiyong, do you still think you are in the ancient realm? This is the Nether King's hell. Your heaven-defying divine artifact and heaven-defying divine art can't be activated. Killing you is as easy as crushing an ant. Du Yuntian laughed. Okay. Then we'll see. Qin Feiyong smiled sinisterly and shouted in a low voice, Commander, retreat first. Retreat? They're just a bunch of ants. Is there a need? Shweta smiled ferociously. His huge hand was like a mountain as it slammed toward the 20 or so people. That's right. He wanted to kill these small fries first. Otherwise, if Qin Feiyong was held back by the fire dragon ancestor dragon and faced with the pursuit of these people, he would definitely be doomed. But how could ancestral dragon, the fire dragon, let him succeed? After all, he had fought with Shweta more than once. He was very clear about Shweta's strength. Even he and Du Yuntian could only restrain him. Fire dragon, the ancestral dragon, decisively revealed his true body. A fire dragon thousands of feet long appeared out of nowhere. Flames surged around his body as he raised his huge dragon tail and slammed it toward Shweta's huge hand. Boom! The 2 collided with a loud bang. A destructive aura suddenly surged out. At the same time, Fire Dragon, the ancestral dragon, and the commander each took a step back. Go and kill Qin Feiyong. Du Yuntian shouted. The folding fan in his hand shone brightly and carried the power to destroy the world as it charged toward Shweta. Kill. More than 20 people immediately charged toward Qin Feiyong. Divine artifacts and divine arts made Qin Feiyong despair. Don't even think about it. Shweta roared. Divine power roared in all directions. A huge barrier appeared and instantly enveloped everyone. Only Qin Feiyong was outside the barrier. Break the barrier. The woman in white shouted. More than 20 people's divine artifacts and divine arts immediately blasted toward the barrier. As long as I'm here, no one can leave. Shweta's aura was like a rainbow. It was as if he could hold the pass against 10,000 people. He stomped his foot. Crack. Clang. Those divine artifacts were all shattered and the divine arts were annihilated. What? More than 20 people were dumbfounded. One had to know. Among those divine artifacts, some were legendary divine artifacts. Even legendary divine artifacts could be crushed with one stomp? How terrifying was his physical body and strength. At the same time, seeing this scene, Qin Feiyang decisively took out the Yin-Yang Chaos Pill and threw it into his mouth. Boom! His aura suddenly soared. What is he doing? The woman in white looked at Qin Feiyang in surprise. Boom! The fire dragon ancestral Gragon also noticed this scene, and a deep sense of uneasiness emerged in his heart. He immediately controlled the machete and attacked the barrier. Humph! Shweta snorted and also took out a blood-red battle axe and hacked at the machete. Clang! Sparks flew everywhere. The machete was sent flying. Die! But at the same time Du Yuntian arrived. The folding fan flew out of his hand and pierced into Shweda's back. Blood and flesh immediately flew everywhere. He originally wanted to pierce through Shweda's body, but Shweda's body was so strong that it defied the natural order. The folding fan only went half a meter into Shweda's back before it was blocked and could not go any further. A half-meter wound was just a flesh wound for Shweda, who was 90 meters tall. You human, you really don't know what's good for you. However, Shweta was completely enraged. The power in his body surged crazily and he slapped at Du Yuntian. Du Yuntian quickly raised his hand and blocked Shweda's giant hand. He also controlled the folding fan and swept it out of Shweda's body to block above his head. However, he underestimated Shweda's power. Crack! Both of his arms broke one after another. Du Yuntian was soon unable to hold on. His whole body smashed into the barrier below like a meteorite, and he immediately spat out a mouthful of blood. In fact, even the folding fan had cracked open. But even though Du Yuntian crashed into the barrier, it did not break. Boom! At this moment, outside the barrier, Qin Feiyang's cultivation suddenly soared to the peak of the 9th heaven realm. But it did not stop. It was still soaring. I must succeed. Qin Feiyang growled. This time he must break through 2 small realms. What kind of elixir did he take? He can break through again. Inside the barrier, the woman in white and the others were very surprised. Don't worry about him. Kill Shweta first. Your Highness, heal everyone's injuries. Ancestral Gragon of the Fire Dragon shouted. Kill. For a moment the sound of killing shook the sky. The woman in white waved her hand, and a milky white divine light appeared and merged into Du Yuntian and the others. The injuries of these people immediately began to heal. Even the shattered divine artifacts were rapidly repairing themselves. Your Highness, Qin Feiyang was shocked and hurriedly looked at the woman in white. Who else could the Your Highness mentioned by ancestral Gragon of the Fire Dragon be other than Princess of the Dragons? Qin Feiyang looked at Du Yuntian and the others and the artifacts. His eyes suddenly darkened. He looked at the woman in white again and said, So this is your true face? Yes. Princess of the Dragons nodded. All this time she had been showing her true face to others. Therefore, not many people knew her true appearance. Facing the indiscriminate bombardment of the Fire Dragon, ancestral Gragon, Du Yuntian, and the others, Shweta could not withstand it for a while. His injuries were getting worse and worse. He also glanced at Princess of the Dragons. The Blood Demon clan's greatest advantage was that they could summon the power of the evil sun to heal. If he was given time, he was confident that he could kill everyone with this advantage. But he did not expect Princess of the Dragons to have such a terrifying healing ability. One must know. Back then, even a heaven-defying artifact like the Sunset Divine Bow was quickly repaired by Long Zun. Although Princess of the Dragons' cultivation was not as high as Long Zun's, her healing ability was not much worse than the power of the evil sun. In other words, with Princess of the Dragons, Shweda's advantage was not that great now. If this continued, the dragons might win in the end. After all, not only did the dragons have the Fire Dragon, ancestral Gragon, but also Du Yuntian. As the young lord of the Dragon Slayer Palace, Du Yuntian was definitely not weak. And the cultivation of the 20 or so people was not bad either. The lowest was at the 9th heaven realm. Whether in terms of quantity or quality, they were not to be underestimated. Therefore, in comparison, Shweda's situation was more worrying. Boom! Suddenly, a loud muffled sound came from Qin Feiyang's body. He was wild with joy. Heaven did not disappoint those who worked hard. He had finally succeeded in breaking the shackles of the perfection paragon. It can't be. Princess of the Dragons looked at Qin Feiyang in disbelief. Breaking the shackles of 2 small realms in a row? What kind of pill was this? It actually had such a heaven-defying ability. Chapter 26-21. However, Qin Feiyang, who was rejoicing, suddenly thought of something and his face became extremely ugly. Although the Yin-Yang Chaos Pill had helped him break through the shackles of the Great Perfection, it would still take some time for him to truly break through to the half-step 9 heavens realm. After all, this was not the past. For example, when he was still in the War King or the War Emperor, after breaking through the shackles, as long as he had enough battle chi pills or essence chi, he could instantly break through. But now, his cultivation was at the Paragon God Realm. The Paragon God Realm had already surpassed the War King and the War Emperor by too much. Even if he had enough soul stones, it would still take some time. But now, the crisis was right in front of him. If he delayed even a little bit, he might lose his life. The most important thing was, right now, he had to open the door of potential. Because if he missed it, he would have to wait until the Great Perfection 9 Heavens realm. In other words, taking the Yin-Yang Chaos Pill now would not have any practical effect. Previously, he had been happy for nothing. What should we do? Looking at Shweta, who was getting more and more injured, Qin Feiyang could not help but frown. Why didn't this Luby listen? If he had listened to him and retreated first, he would not have fallen into such a situation. This commander has underestimated them. Right now, I can't even protect myself. You go first. Shweta shouted. Qin Feiyang's eyes flickered. Suddenly, he had a plan, looked at the Princess of the Dragons and laughed. Your Highness, there is something I think you will definitely be interested in. What is it? The Princess of the Dragons frowned. It's about Du Yuntian's true identity. Qin Feiyang said. Du Yuntian's eyelids suddenly twitched and he shouted. Qin Feiyang, what are you trying to do? Are you trying to sow discord? Qin Feiyang joked. Do you think I'm trying to sow discord? Isn't that so? If you can't beat me, you'll use this method. I really admire you. Du Yuntian sneered. But in his heart, he was extremely flustered. If Qin Feiyang really revealed his true identity, the dragons would definitely not let him go. Even if the dragons didn't believe him for the time being, they would investigate him after leaving hell. Because of Du Yuntian's panic, Shweta took advantage of the opening and sent Du Yuntian flying with a punch. Next, Shweta sent another palm strike at Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon, and Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon was sent flying. Following closely, Shwetao grabbed the blood-red battle axe and sent the 20 or so people flying. He instantly appeared outside the barrier and looked at Qin Feiyang. Why didn't you leave? Qin Feiyang said, I don't have the habit of abandoning my companions. Companions? Shweta muttered and asked, I don't think I'm your companion yet, am I? Since we're already together, we naturally have to advance and retreat together. Furthermore, these dragons are our common enemy. Of course I can't just watch as you die. Of course, this is also related to the blood devils in the mysterious heavenly ancient city. After all, you are their clansmen. I'll try my best to help. Now that we have a chance, let's retreat. Qin Feiyang said. Shweta stared at Qin Feiyang without blinking. Suddenly, he laughed and said, You're indeed an extraordinary human. Qin Feiyang looked at him in shock. He could still laugh at this moment? I won't hide it from you. From the beginning, I've been testing you. Even if I let you leave first, it was also to test you. Actually, Lord King, you didn't punish the city lord of the mysterious heavenly ancient city. And I'm here under Lord King Yu's orders to invite you to the ancient city as a guest. Shweta testing. Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. Most of you humans are sinister and cunning two-faced people. Therefore, I have to see through your character before I can bring you to the ancient city without worry. Shweta, I see. Qin Feiyang nodded in realization and said with a smile, Then what kind of person do you think I am now? A human worthy of being friends with our blood demon tribe, Shweta said. Qin Feiyang shook his head and smiled bitterly. After all this time he was just testing him. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Qin Feiyang was stunned. He looked at Shweta and frowned. At this moment, you still have the mood to test me. Does this mean that you're not afraid of them at all? Of course. If it was in the past, I would still be afraid when facing Ancestral Dragon. But now, Shweta looked up at Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon and sneered. I'm not in your eyes at all. Boom! At the same time, Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon also broke the enchantment. Hearing Shweta's words, he sneered. We haven't seen each other for many years. Your strength didn't improve much, but your tone has improved a lot. Haha, compared to the last time, my strength indeed didn't improve much. But in some aspects I've surpassed you. Shweta grinned. Could it be that you can break through to the complete undead stage? Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon sneered. Of course not. After all, there are rules and restrictions in hell. But these rules don't include the power of the law. As Shweta finished speaking, a terrifying murderous aura roared out. This is... Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon's eyes widened. Qin Feiyang also looked at Shweta in surprise. This murderous aura was even more terrifying than when he activated the kill character art. That's right. The law of slaughter. Shweta stared at Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon and laughed. The law of slaughter. Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon's eyes trembled. This guy actually comprehended the law of slaughter. Qin Feiyang was also quite shocked. Those who could comprehend the power of the law, which one of them wasn't a genius? Could be said that, among the trillions of creatures, there was probably not one who could comprehend the power of the law. Wait, but after the shock, he suddenly realized the main point of this problem. Hell had no restrictions on the power of the law? Why didn't Yizhong die? If he had known earlier, would he still be in such a sorry state? The power of the law was an existence that surpassed all other powers. Because the power of the law was the mystery of the universe. The reason why the heaven-defying artifacts were so powerful was because they were endowed with the power of the law. In short, the power of the law was the same as the heaven-defying artifacts and techniques. It could ignore the existence of realms. Let's go. Just as Qin Feiyang's clone was about to split up, Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon swept up Princess Long and the others, turned around, and used the supreme technique to escape without looking back. If there were other ancestral dragons present, he would dare to continue fighting. But now he was the only one. What was even more terrifying was that Qin Feiyang now knew that hell had no restrictions on the power of the law. One must know. Qin Feiyang also mastered the law of light. With Qin Feiyang assisting by the side, coupled with Shweda's law of slaughter, the people around him were not enough to fill the gaps between Shweda's teeth. This time they really went for wool and came home shorn. Chase! Qin Feiyang said. Don't worry. I definitely won't let them escape so easily. Shweta smiled coldly. His divine power swept up Qin Feiyang, used the supreme technique, and chased after them. Qin Feiyang stared at the back of the group of people. At this speed, Ancestral Dragon's group would definitely not be able to escape. First of all, Ancestral Dragon's group had to divert their attention to refining the evil power. Because if this evil power was not refined in time, it would be eroded sooner or later. But Shweta was different. As a blood demon, the evil power was a tonic for him. Next was at night. Once night fell, Shweta could transform. According to his observation, the transformed blood demon would not only increase his strength, but also his speed. At that time, even if Ancestral Dragon had the supreme technique, it would be difficult to escape Shweda's pursuit. In short, as long as Shweta did not lose track of them during the day, then at night, it would be the end of Ancestral Dragon's group. Qin Feiyang said, Commander, please release your pressure. Release pressure? Shweta was stunned. Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Shweta looked at him suspiciously and released a trace of pressure. Qin Feiyang took out a supreme nirvana pill and threw it into his mouth. He shook his head and said, the pressure is not enough. What is this kid doing? Shweta became more and more confused and increased his pressure. Chapter 26-22. At the same time, the 20 or so people were also burning with anxiety. However, they didn't realize that they were about to become cannon fodder. They even pinned their hopes on Ancestral Graygon. They thought that Ancestral Graygon would help them escape. However, the reality was cruel. Seeing that the evil moon was about to rise, Fire Dragon Ancestral Dragon decisively left those people behind, took Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons away without looking back. What? Those people were stunned in the void. In fact, they weren't stupid. They followed Ancestral Dragon because they thought that since they had helped him kill Qin Feiyang, he wouldn't leave them alone. However, they didn't expect that Ancestral Dragon would be so heartless as to use them as shields. He was really blind. Why did he help the dragons deal with Qin Feiyang? You ungrateful bastards! I curse you to die a horrible death. After coming to their senses, some people roared at the backs of Ancestral Dragon and the other two. You'd better think about how to survive in the hands of Qin Feiyang. Of course, you can also self-detonate and die with Qin Feiyang. To be able to perish together with Qin Feiyang, it could be said to be an enormous honor for you all. When we return to the Divine Land, we'll sing your praises. Du Yuntian sneered without looking back. Although it was a little vicious, as long as he could escape, it didn't matter how much he sacrificed. Du Yuntian, don't be happy too early. Sooner or later, you'll become cannon fodder like us. Someone roared with resentment. Cannon fodder? I'm not as stupid as you. Du Yuntian glanced at Ancestral Dragon and Princess Dragons and sneered secretly. Boom! A terrifying aura rolled over. The bodies of the 20 or so incomparably furious people suddenly shook as they slowly turned around to look at Shweta and Qin Feiyang. What should they do? Who in the Divine Land didn't know that Qin Feiyang was a vengeful person? Those who offended him would never end well. Did they really have to self-detonate? They didn't want to. They were desperate to the extreme. However, Qin Feiyang just glanced at them and said, Commander, don't worry about them. The group of people was stunned. Don't worry about them? What did he mean? Was it an illusion? How could Qin Feiyang be so magnanimous? But soon, they knew that it wasn't an illusion. Shweta and Qin Feiyang passed by them. This is the price of being in cahoots with the Dragon Clan. Take care of yourself. As they brushed past each other, Qin Feiyang left behind a few words. Sorry. We chose to help the Dragon Clan because we were foolish. Thank you for not killing us. The group of people hurriedly knelt in the void and cried out in gratitude. However, Qin Feiyang ignored them. Shweta was a little confused and frowned. Why did you let them go? His body size had increased by 10 times. He was originally 90 meters tall, but now he was 900 meters tall. He was like a huge mountain with monstrous ferocity. As he waved his hand, divine power roared in all directions, and a huge barrier suddenly fell. Don't even think about it. Fire Dragon Ancestral Dragon roared. The divine dragon body that was tens of thousands of feet long slammed into the barrier, and the barrier shattered on the spot. You're courting death. Shweta threw a punch, divine power surging. Ancestral Dragon's huge body immediately flew out and crashed into the mountains and rivers in the distance. The mountains and rivers shattered, and the earth cracked. With just one punch, Ancestral Dragon was seriously injured. It was a complete suppression. So powerful? Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons couldn't help but tremble when they saw this scene. They had seen the transformed blood demon tribe before, but it was the first time they saw such a powerful blood demon tribe. How terrifying was his strength and physical body to injure Ancestral Dragon with one punch. If I still let you escape after transforming, then I, Shweta, am not worthy of being the blood demon tribe's great commander. Shweta roared. Divine power roared and a barrier appeared again, instantly trapping Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons. Shatter! Du Yuntian released his aura and threw a punch at the barrier. However, although he was at the perfection 9th heaven realm, he couldn't shatter the barrier with one blow. The Dragon Princess was dumbfounded. Shweta was so powerful after transforming? No wonder even the Ancestral Dragons were afraid when they talked about the transformed blood demon tribe. Shweta was now an invincible existence in the Nether King's hell. Roar! Accompanied by a loud dragon roar, Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon rushed into the sky, and its huge tail slammed into the barrier. Crack! The barrier shattered again. This meant that Ancestral Dragon's strength was actually not weak after transforming back to his true form. Don't look back, run! Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon roared. Its body that was tens of thousands of feet long rushed toward Shweta with surging dragon power. Du Yuntian once again took the dragon princess and fled madly. You really won't cry until you're in the coffin. Shweta stared at ancestral dragon Fire Dragon, and his eyes were filled with intense killing intent. Two huge hands reached out and grabbed ancestral dragon Fire Dragon's dragon claws. With a sudden force, the two dragon claws were torn off. Dragon blood instantly scattered in the sky. Roar! Ancestral dragon Fire Dragon roared in pain. This power, Qin Feiyang, who was standing on Shweda's shoulder, couldn't help but stare blankly at this scene. Get lost. After killing them, I'll take my time to deal with you. Shweta snorted and slapped. Ancestral dragon Fire Dragon was sent flying again. It wailed in pain and had no strength to fight back. The decision back then was not wrong. Being friends with the Blood Demon tribe was the wisest choice. Qin Feiyang muttered. Shweta was too powerful now. Even if he was at the perfection 9th heaven realm, he didn't have the confidence to defeat Shweta. Boom. Shweta ignored ancestral dragon Fire Dragon and took a step forward. The void shattered, and his speed was faster than during the day. In just a few blinks, he was close to Du Yuntian and Shweta. Don't even think about hurting the princess. Ancestral dragon Fire Dragon roared, and his suppressed cultivation suddenly erupted. Half-step immortal. Initial immortal. Initial immortal. Great immortal. In almost an instant, he had recovered his peak cultivation. Immediately after, ancestral dragon Fire Dragon flashed and appeared behind Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons. An invisible force emerged and instantly sent the two hundreds of millions of miles away. At the same time, the power of the divine dragon rushed toward Shweta and Qin Feiyang like a torrent. What? Qin Feiyang was shocked. Shweta's expression also changed, and he hurriedly retreated with Qin Feiyang. However, at the same time, firmament, an invisible force descended. It was like the might of the heavens, vast and mighty. It was the rule power. The power of laws arrived with a loud bang. The Fire Dragon ancestor dragon let out a blood-curdling scream before his body and soul were destroyed. The power of the divine dragon that rushed toward Shweta and Qin Feiyang was also erased by the rule power. That was close. Qin Feiyang patted his chest. If it weren't for Shweta's quick reaction, he would have been dragged down by ancestral dragon Fire Dragon. Sigh. What a pity. We didn't get rid of that woman. Shweda's face was also full of regret. No matter how powerful the rule power was, it still needed a process to descend. Although this process only took a moment, it was enough to change everything with ancestral dragon's great immortal stage cultivation. Qin Feiyang looked at the direction Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons escaped and frowned. Commander, should we still chase? How can we catch up? The commander shook his head. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but feel regretful when he heard this. Such a good opportunity, but they didn't get rid of Princess Dragons and Du Yuntian. In fact, Du Yuntian was a little better. The threat wasn't that great. But Princess Dragons, if this woman wasn't eliminated, she would be a big problem. However, being able to eliminate ancestral dragon Fire Dragon was a good harvest. Chapter 26-23. Qin Feiyang suddenly looked at Shweta and asked, "Have you seen the Princess of the Dragons before?" "No." Shweta shook his head. Qin Feiyang asked suspiciously, "Then why does it seem like you really want to kill her?" "Because of her healing ability. Although her healing ability isn't as good as Long Zun's, it's still quite a threat to the Blood Demon race," Shweta said in a deep voice. "I see." Qin Feiyang nodded in realization. The healing ability of Long Zun and her daughter was indeed terrifying. Wait. Qin Feiyang was suddenly stunned and frowned. Long Zun has also been to the Nether King's Hell? She came the first time the Nether King's Hell opened, but it was only that one time. Shweta the first time. Qin Feiyang frowned. When the Nether King's Hell opened for the first time, many divine dragons came in. Long Zun, the ancestral dragons, and the patriarchs and elders of the dragons. The total number was no less than 100,000. But in the end, less than 10,000 divine dragons survived from the hands of the Blood Demon race. Perhaps it was because of this lesson that when the Nether King's Hell opened, only Yizhong, the Beast Emperor, And the 10 ancestral dragons came in each time. Shweta, I see. Qin Feiyong nodded. Suddenly, he thought of the skeleton in the palace in the mysterious sky ancient city, and looked at Shweta. I saw the skeleton of an ancestral dragon in the mysterious sky ancient city. What's going on? That's the skeleton of the blood dragon ancestral dragon. Shweta, blood dragon ancestral dragon. Qin Feiyong was stunned. That's right. The last time the Nether King's Hell opened, he entered the mysterious sky ancient city and slaughtered crazily. When we received the news, Lord Ghost King personally rushed over and killed him. After that, in order to pay tribute to our clansman, we stripped off his dragon scales, pulled out his dragon tendons, and embedded his skeleton in the palace walls. This is also to intimidate the dragons. Shweta, I see. Qin Feiyong muttered. Although we've fought with the dragons more than once, this is the only complete divine body we've managed to preserve. As you can see, every time the ancestral dragon was defeated, he would either self-detonate or release the suppression on his cultivation. To be honest, these bastards are quite difficult to deal with. Big Shwe shook his head and sighed. Of course, if they were easy to deal with, I would have uprooted them long ago. Qin Feiyong snorted coldly. Shweta asked curiously, just what kind of grudge do you have with the dragons? Deep hatred? Qin Feiyong was slightly taken aback. He smiled bitterly and said, now that I think about it, there really isn't any deep hatred between me and the dragons. If there is no deep hatred, then why do you want to get rid of them so badly? Shweta was suspicious. Qin Feiyong answered, because they wanted to rob me and my ancestor of our bloodline power, so we had no choice but to retaliate. Bloodline power? Shweta looked at Qin Feiyong in surprise. A bloodline power that even the dragons wanted. What kind of bloodline power could it be? Qin Feiyong pondered for a while and asked, I wonder if you've heard of the purple gold divine dragon? Purple gold divine dragon? Shweta nodded and said, I've heard of it. It's said to be the noblest bloodline power of the divine dragon race. Qin Feiyong said, my ancestor and I have the bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon. What? Are you kidding me? You're a human. How can you have the bloodline power of the purple gold divine dragon? Shweta looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. I don't know. I think only my ancestor can answer this question. Qin Feiyong shook his head. What a freak. No wonder the dragons want to get rid of you so badly. Shweta found it unbelievable. Qin Feiyong smiled bitterly. The bloodline power was passed down by his ancestor. Was this his fault? Brother Qin. At this time, more than 20 people flew over. Huh. Qin Feiyong was stunned. What was going on? Didn't he let them go? Why did they come back? Brother Qin, you're really powerful. Even the ancestral dragon is not your opponent. Brother Qin, why don't you take us in? We'll listen to you in the future. A group of people ran over, their faces full of flattery and fawning. Hey. Are you guys blind? What does this have to do with Qin Feiyong? Did he make a move? It's obviously me who's powerful. Shweta raised his eyebrows. Yes. The group of people nodded repeatedly. Grand Commander, I'll have to trouble you to kill them. Qin Feiyong said lightly. What? The group of people's faces suddenly changed. I let you guys go just now because I want to deal with the ancestral dragon. But you guys are very insensible. You actually took the initiative to deliver yourself to me. Do you think I, Qin Feiyong, am such a generous person? Qin Feiyong sneered. Don't run. The group of people shouted anxiously and turned to run. What a bunch of idiots. Shweta grinned. With a slap, more than 20 people's blood splattered across the sky. No one was spared. Qin Feiyong didn't have any sympathy for them. These people ran back not because they wanted to follow him, but purely because they saw him fighting with the blood demon race. They wanted to make use of this relationship to survive in the Hell King's hell. Commander, why did the King of Hell invite me to the ancient city? Qin Feiyong turned to look at Shweta and asked suspiciously. Allow me to keep you in suspense. When we reach the ancient city, you'll know. Shweta smiled mysteriously. Qin Feiyong shook his head and laughed. The two of them didn't delay any further. After Shweta returned to his original form, he continued to bring Qin Feiyong with him. To the dragons, this was a disaster. This was because the sacrifice of an ancestral dragon was a huge loss. However, to Qin Feiyang and Shweta, this was just a small interlude. In the distance, on a mountain peak, Du Yuntian and the dragon's princess stood at the edge of the cliff, looking at the direction where the fire dragon ancestral dragon fell. Their faces were filled with sadness. Of course, Du Yuntian was just pretending. The death of the fire dragon ancestral dragon didn't affect him at all. Du Yuntian retracted his gaze and glanced at the dragon's princess, asking, "Your Highness, what should we do now?" "Go to the gathering place," the dragon's princess said. Gathering place? Du Yuntian's eyes flickered and he frowned. Is Qin Feiyang going to let him go just like that? Let him go? How is that possible? I will definitely let him die in the Hell King's hell. The dragon's princess clenched her fists. Du Yuntian said, "When necessary, I will lend you a hand." You? There was a trace of disdain in the eyes of the dragon's princess. Qin Feiyang mentioned your identity previously. Is there a problem with your identity? How can there be a problem with my identity? He is just trying to drive a wedge between us. If there is a problem, he would have said it long ago. Why is he still pretending to be mysterious? Du Yuntian said. The dragon's princess looked at him deeply and didn't say anything else. She turned around and left. Du Yuntian looked at the back view of the dragon's princess, and a strange smile crept up from the depths of his eyes. This woman has both looks and status. If he could get her, he would be Long Zun's son-in-law. He could get whatever he wanted. How could he be the young lord of the Dragon Slayer Palace then? Time flew by. Early in the morning, two figures cut across the sky like lightning and entered the sky above the plains outside the ancient city. "Greetings, Commander." The blood boat guarding the ancient city hurriedly stood up and bowed respectfully. Shweta asked, "Has there been any changes in the ancient city in the past year?" "No." Shweta shook his head and then sized up Qin Feiyang curiously. "He is the guest invited by King Yu, Qin Feiyang. Brother Qin, this is the guardian of the ancient city." Shweta introduced. "Greetings, Senior." Qin Feiyang cupped his fists. "Senior?" Shweta was stunned. This was the first time someone called him that. He wasn't used to it. However, it was also because of this that he had a good first impression of Qin Feiyang. "All right then. Keep an eye on him. I will bring him to see King Yu." Shweta replied. The two entered the ancient city. When the blood demons in the ancient city sensed Qin Feiyang's aura, all of them ran out with curiosity. "Brother Qin, please don't be offended. After all, you humans are very unfamiliar to us. It is natural for everyone to be curious." Shweta. After getting along with Qin Feiyang for half a year, Shweta liked him very much. 3 months ago, they had already addressed each other as brothers. "It's okay." Qin Feiyang waved his hands. Suddenly, he noticed something strange. Why couldn't he sense the evil force in the ancient city? Very soon, under Shweta's lead, Qin Feiyang landed in front of the palace in the middle of the ancient city. "King Yu, are you here?" Shweta asked. "Come in." A loud and clear voice came from the main hall, and the door was opened. Shweta let Qin Feiyang into the main hall. What a powerful aura! When Qin Feiyang saw King Yu sitting at the top, he was shocked. The aura emitted by King Yu was several times stronger than Shweta. Shweta retreated to the side and smiled. "King Yu, he is Qin Feiyang." King Yu sized up Qin Feiyang. "Greetings, Senior King Yu." Qin Feiyang bowed. Then, he stood in the middle of the hall in a manner that was neither servile nor overbearing, allowing King Yu to examine him. "Not bad." King Yu muttered and asked curiously, "Aren't you afraid of me at all? Since you invited me to the ancient city as a guest, I'm sure you don't have any bad intentions." "If you don't have any bad intentions, why should I be afraid?" Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. "Haha," King Yu laughed and praised. "You do have some guts. You flatter me." Qin Feiyang shook his head. Shweta looked up and asked suspiciously, "King Yu, why can't I sense the aura of the two above?" Hearing this, King Yu smiled bitterly. 2 months after you left, the evil power here was no longer able to satisfy them. So, they decided to go outside the city at night to collect the evil force because the evil force is stronger at night. And in the day they would come back to refine and absorb it. Now, the Yu King glanced outside, smiled and said, "They should be coming back soon." I knew it. The evil force here isn't enough for them to absorb. The senior commander pouted. Their appetite is indeed a little big. King Yu shook his head. Qin Feiyong looked at the two of them suspiciously. What were they talking about? Chapter 26-24. I'm back. I haven't seen you all night. Did you miss me? Suddenly, a wolf howl sounded outside. This voice, Qin Feiyong's eyes suddenly trembled. Outside, the white-eyed wolf swaggered over the ancient city like a human. Madman's face was dark as he kept a distance from the white-eyed wolf. It was as if he was telling the blood demons below that he didn't know this idiot. The blood demons in the ancient city below also rolled their eyes. Who would miss a bastard like you? Don't be so cold. Hey, didn't I accidentally go in for a stroll when you were taking a bath? I'm actually a victim too. I didn't find the treasure, but I got the reputation of a scoundrel. The white-eyed wolf looked at a 5 to 6 meter tall female giant and said, Bastard. The female giant cursed angrily and immediately hid in the room in shame. And you husband and wife, I really didn't know you were doing something. If I knew, I wouldn't have run in even if I was beaten to death. The white-eyed wolf looked at a couple and said aggrievedly, You still feel aggrieved? Do you believe that I won't fight you to the death? The couple glared at the white-eyed wolf angrily. The white-eyed wolf pursed his lips and looked at another blood demon. I say, can you not look at me so bitterly? I just took your legendary divine artifact when you weren't careful. What's the big deal? Then give it back to me. No, you call that taking? You obviously stole it. The blood demon roared. Didn't I say that if you give me a supreme divine artifact, I'll return the legendary divine artifact to you? The white-eyed wolf grinned. Do you think I'm an idiot? If I had a supreme divine artifact, why would I give it to you? Wouldn't I keep it for myself? Can a legendary divine artifact be compared to a supreme divine artifact? The blood demon was so angry that he was about to go berserk. It's just a legendary divine artifact. Look at you. The white-eyed wolf shook his head. The blood demon was furious and roared. Don't stop me. I'm going to fight this bastard to the death. Forget it. After being together for so long, you still don't know its personality. The more you mess with it, the more excited it gets. Look at the blood bamboo. In the past year, it has already been angered to tears by it several times. Several blood demons around him hurriedly held him back and persuaded him repeatedly. Seeing the smug white-eyed wolf, Madman's face darkened. That's enough. Don't say that I didn't help you when you're surrounded. Inside the palace, Qin Feiyong's face was also dark. There was no other way. The blood demons' voices were too loud. It was hard for him to not want to hear it. Initially, he was quite happy to hear the white-eyed wolf's voice. He finally met up with the white-eyed wolf. However, when he heard the blood demon's angry roar, he was furious. Wherever he went, he would not be able to rest easy. Whoosh! Amidst the angry curses, the white-eyed wolf and Madman entered the palace. As soon as the man and wolf entered, they looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. This was too unexpected, wasn't it? Not only did King Yu not tell Qin Feiyong about the white-eyed wolf and Madman's situation, he also did not tell Madman and the white-eyed wolf about Qin Feiyong's whereabouts. As such, the man and wolf looked at Qin Feiyong, who suddenly appeared, and wondered if their eyes were playing tricks on them. Bastard! Qin Feiyong took a step forward and kicked. The white-eyed wolf immediately howled and flew out. King Yu and Shweta stared at Qin Feiyong in shock. This was impressive. He even dared to beat up this little demon. You guys don't know that the only person in this world who can subdue the white-eyed wolf is him. Madman looked at the two of them and shook his head with a smile. He walked to Qin Feiyong and said with a smile, It's good that you're not dead. You two. Qin Feiyong smiled. Their relationship had already reached this stage. There was no need to say too much. They both understood. Little Qin Zi, I'll fight it out with you. The white-eyed wolf rushed in angrily. Qin Feiyong stared at him. Needless to say, the white-eyed wolf was terrified immediately. It's true that everything has its nemesis. King Yu sighed. If you dare to mess around in the ancient city again, I'll teach you a lesson. Qin Feiyong glared fiercely at the white-eyed wolf and looked at King Yu apologetically. I'm sorry to have caused you trouble. It's okay, it's okay. King Yu waved his hands. Madman asked suspiciously, why did you come to the ancient city? The commander went to the mysterious heaven ancient city to find me. I didn't expect that you and the white-eyed wolf would be here. Qin Feiyong shook his head and smiled. This was really a huge surprise. Mysterious heaven ancient city? Madman was stunned and turned to look at King Yu and Shweta. It's like this. Back then, the mysterious heaven ancient city Shweta came to the ancient city and told me that Qin Feiyong was in the ancient city. Then, I asked Shweta to go to the ancient city to fetch Qin Feiyong. Of course, we deliberately hid it from you guys in order to give you guys a surprise. King Yu smiled. Madman said, sorry to trouble you. You're welcome. King Yu waved his hands. The white-eyed wolf asked Little Qin Zi, what are you doing in the ancient city? I encountered some things. Qin Feiyong briefly explained the situation of Du Yuntian and the others. So that's the case. However, the 200-year time array in the ancient city can't be compared to the one here. The white-eyed wolf chuckled. There's a time array here too? Qin Feiyong was surprised. Of course. It's right above, 500 years in a day. The white-eyed wolf said sneakily. Above? 500 years in a day. Qin Feiyong looked at the top of the hall in shock. This was more than double the number of time formations in the mysterious heaven ancient city. Wait a minute. Since it's 500 years in a day, why didn't your cultivation improve at all? Qin Feiyong sized up the white-eyed wolf and Madman. Nonsense. The soul stones are all on you. How can we cultivate? The white-eyed wolf said angrily. Madman also shook his head and smiled bitterly. Although we've been absorbing the evil power to cultivate during this period, the speed can't compare to refining the soul stones. That's true. Qin Feiyong smiled awkwardly. Madman might have some soul stones on him, but the white-eyed wolf probably didn't even have one. Wait a minute. Suddenly, Qin Feiyong suddenly looked up at Madman and asked in surprise, what did you just say? Absorb the evil power to cultivate? You only realize the main point of this sentence now. You're too slow. The white-eyed wolf said disdainfully. Shut up. Qin Feiyong glared at it and looked at Madman. You can absorb the evil power? Yes. Madman nodded. Qin Feiyong was stunned. He looked at the white-eyed wolf and asked, you can too? Of course. The white-eyed wolf nodded. Are you sure it's absorption? Qin Feiyong asked again. Of course. Can't you see that there's no evil power in this ancient city? It's just that I and little Madman have absorbed it all. The white-eyed wolf said proudly. You guys can actually absorb the evil power. This? Qin Feiyong couldn't wrap his head around it. He naturally knew the danger of the evil power. Others were afraid of it, but these two guys could actually absorb it? Jealous, right? The white-eyed wolf said proudly. Jealous? Qin Feiyong nodded instinctively, but he quickly said, wait a minute, this isn't right. Why can you guys absorb it but I can't? Is there a need to ask? It's because of your character. The white-eyed wolf said in disdain. Get lost. Qin Feiyong's face darkened. Everything was related to one's character. Actually, I'm different from the white-eyed wolf. The white-eyed wolf can only absorb the evil power. As for me, not only can I absorb it, but even my divine power has turned into the evil power. What? Qin Feiyong was dumbfounded. The madman waved his hand and a wisp of divine power appeared. Qin Feiyong sized up the divine power and the corner of his mouth twitched. It was actually the evil power. Divine power turned into the evil power? You can't be the reincarnation of the blood demon race, right? Qin Feiyong sized up the madman with a strange look. Reincarnation? The madman was stunned and speechless. Your imagination is too rich. Qin Feiyong said. Take off your shoes and let me see your soles. Why? The madman was suspicious. Qin Feiyong said, what else can I do? I just want to see if there's an imprint. Imprint? The madman and the white-eyed wolf were suspicious. What the hell? But when the Ghost King and Shweta heard this, a trace of surprise appeared on their faces and they asked, how do you know about the imprint? The city lord of the mysterious heaven ancient city told me. Qin Feiyong said. I see. The two nodded in realization. He even told this human about such an important matter. It seemed that the city lord of the mysterious heaven ancient city trusted this human a lot. The madman took off his shoes. But there was no imprint of the blood demon race on his soles. It's really strange. Qin Feiyang mumbled. Don't say anything strange. Hurry up and give us the soul stone. The white-eyed wolf urged. After the madman put on his shoes, he looked at Qin Feiyang and said, just in time. Give me the Yin-Yang Chaos Pill, and I'll break through to the half-step 9 heavens realm. Okay. Qin Feiyang nodded and temporarily suppressed the doubts in his heart. The Ghost King said, then you guys go up. Thank you. The madman smiled. The Ghost King smiled and sent the two of them and the wolf to the upper level. This is great. With the soul stone they don't have to fight with us for the evil power anymore. Shweta heaved a sigh of relief. The Ghost King was speechless. Why do I feel that they are like the gods of plague in your eyes? They are the gods of plague to begin with. Shweta pouted. The Ghost King smiled and asked, after interacting with each other along the way, what do you think of Qin Feiyang? To be honest, I even specially tested him. There's nothing to say about his character. He's definitely trustworthy. Shweta said. That's good. The Ghost King nodded. And on the way there, Shweta also told me a lot of things. This Qin Feiyang seems to be in control of an independent small world. And the living beings in this world are the same as us. Not only are their cultivation levels restricted, but they also have a kind of imprint on their bodies. Shweta said. What? The Ghost King suddenly stood up, his face full of shock. This Qin Feiyang is indeed a powerful human. And on the way we were even ambushed by the fire dragon, the ancestral dragon, and the dragon sovereign's daughter. Their goal was to get rid of him. So it's not hard to imagine how great of a threat Qin Feiyang is to the dragons outside. Shweta said. It seems that this human might be the hope of our blood demon tribe. The Ghost King muttered. Chapter 26-25. Hope, Shweta muttered. There seemed to be a trace of sadness between his brows. Was there really hope? King Yu glanced at Shweta and waved his hand. An image appeared in the air. The image showed the upper level. Frenzy had already consumed the Yin-Yang Chaos Pill, and was sitting cross-legged on the ground, concentrating on breaking through to the next realm. Qin Feiyang stood in the middle of the stone room, looking around with disbelief in his eyes. The time array in the mysterious ancient city had already surprised him, but he didn't expect. The time array in the ancient city was even more heaven-defying. 500 years in a day, this was unprecedented. The white-eyed wolf said, Little Qinzi, tell me the details of your situation over the years. Details? Qin Feiyang was slightly taken aback and said with a smile, Not long after I came to the Nether King's Hell, I met Wu Baichuan. Then, I told you what happened in the mysterious ancient city. In that case, you didn't experience much after entering the Nether King's Hell? The white-eyed wolf said with disinterest. Qin Feiyang nodded. Suddenly, he seemed to have thought of something and said, There's one more thing. What is it? The white-eyed wolf was interested again. Shweta and I were ambushed by the fire dragon, ancestral dragon, princess dragons, and Du Yuntian on the way to the ancient city. Qin Feiyang said. What? The white-eyed wolf was shocked. However, with Shweta around, not only did they fail, but they also paid a heavy price. The fire dragon, ancestral dragon, was killed by the rule force. In other words, we have one less powerful enemy in the Nether King's Hell. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. The white-eyed wolf said with a sneaky smile, Not one but two. Two? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Yes. The earth dragon, ancestral dragon, was also killed by the rule force. The white-eyed wolf said. Qin Feiyang was bewildered. The white-eyed wolf said. Something big also happened in the ancient city of Qingyu. What is it? Qin Feiyang was curious. White-eyed wolf told Qin Feiyang in detail about how Yi Zhong and the others had snatched the heaven-defying divine artifact. Qin Feiyang was stunned when he heard this. It took him a while to come back to his senses. He shook his head and said with a smile, The dragons have really suffered a double loss. That's right. However, this is all thanks to little madman. The white-eyed wolf said. What about that heaven-defying divine artifact? Qin Feiyang asked. It's on Qingyu. The white-eyed wolf pouted. Ever since it entered this place, the Ghost King had been guarding against it as if it were a thief. It could not find any opportunity to attack it at all. The blood demon race has already treated us very well. We need to know how to be grateful. Don't think of such crooked ideas. Qin Feiyang glared at it. Brother, aren't you making plans for the future? We will have a war with the dragons sooner or later. One more heaven-defying divine artifact means one more chance of winning. Don't forget, the dragons are not just the dragon sovereign and the various ancestral dragons. There is also a dragon god that has never appeared before. The white-eyed wolf said. Dragon god, Qin Feiyang muttered. If we have an all-out war with the dragons, this dragon god will definitely not sit back and watch. At that time, if we don't have the strength to surpass the dragons, you know better than anyone else what will happen to us. In short, we can't afford to lose and we can't lose, the white-eyed wolf said in a low voice. Qin Feiyang sighed and said, let's talk about it when the time comes. Let's cultivate to the peak of the 9th heaven realm first. After cultivating to the peak of the 9th heaven realm, when they left hell they could directly break through to the undead realm. Only by breaking through to the undead realm would they have the ability to compete with the dragons. Bang! During the conversation, Frenzy had also successfully broken through. And like Qin Feiyang, he had successfully broken through 2 small realms. Following which, with the help of the white-eyed wolf, he opened the door of potential. You should have come to the ancient Qingyu city earlier. Otherwise, I wouldn't have wasted so much time. Frenzy was unhappy. I didn't know you guys were in the ancient Qingyu city. Qin Feiyang was helpless. If he knew earlier, he wouldn't have stayed in the mysterious sky ancient city to cultivate. Fate is playing tricks on us. Frenzy shook his head and sighed. Suddenly Frenzy frowned and asked, is the situation of the blood demon race similar to the black tortoise world in the past? Yes. Qin Feiyang nodded. Then, do you have any way to help them? Although the blood demon race rules the underworld king's hell, I can see that they also yearn for the outside world. Frenzy said. It's difficult. Qin Feiyang sighed. Frenzy said, I'm not afraid of it, but I'm afraid I don't have confidence. To be honest, I really don't have confidence. After all, we don't even know the strength of the dragon god now. Qin Feiyang shook his head. As soon as he heard the name dragon god, Frenzy fell silent. Although he had never seen it before, the name dragon god was enough to suffocate him. If I can help, I will definitely help. But if I can't, there's nothing I can do. Let's talk about this later. Let's cultivate first. After saying that, Qin Feiyang also sat cross-legged on the ground and took out a soul stone to cultivate. In the main hall, King Yu waved his hand and the scene in the air dissipated. Then, he lowered his head and remained silent. The entire main hall gradually fell into dead silence. Shweta gritted his teeth and looked at King Yu. King Yu, I think we can take a gamble. King Yu was shocked. He raised his head and looked at Shweta, his eyes flickering. I really don't want to be a captive animal anymore. I want to defy the heavens and change my fate. Even if I fail and die miserably, I won't regret it. Shweta clenched his fists, his blood-red eyes shining with determination. Defy the heavens and change fate. King Yu murmured and waved his hand. You can leave first. Let this king think about it. He was the king of the blood demon race. Every decision he made would directly affect the entire blood demon race. Therefore, he couldn't be as straightforward as Shweta. He had too many concerns. Yes, Shweta responded respectfully. He turned around and strode out of the palace. His gaze seemed to be able to penetrate the world barrier and peek at a majestic figure in the sky. There was a trace of unyielding in his expression. On the second level, more than 200 years had passed. Qin Feiyang and Frenzy had already reached the half-step 9th heaven realm. Although more than 200 years had passed on the second level, only half a day had passed outside. Swoosh! Qin Feiyang, who was cultivating, suddenly opened his eyes. There were wisps of light surging in his eyes. After a while, Qin Feiyang turned to look at Frenzy and White-Eyed Wolf and asked, where is the gathering place that you mentioned? Frenzy and White-Eyed Wolf opened their eyes and looked at Qin Feiyang suspiciously. Tell me quickly. Qin Feiyang urged. Frenzy said, Giant Dragon Mountain Range. Is it far? Qin Feiyang asked. Not far. It only takes a few hours to reach the peak of the 9th heaven realm to reach the giant dragon mountain range, Frenzy said. Qin Feiyong pondered again. What's going on? White-eyed wolf asked. If I remember correctly, Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon told Princess Dragons and Du Yuntian to go to the gathering place to find Yizhong and the others. Qin Feiyong said. That's normal. Hell is so dangerous. Before Ancestral Dragon Fire Dragon died, he definitely told them to meet up with Yizhong and the others. White-eyed wolf said. You didn't think of the main point. Qin Feiyong shook his head. Main point? White-eyed wolf frowned. Frenzy couldn't help but ponder when he heard this. Qin Feiyong looked at White-eyed wolf and asked, Are Princess Dragons and Du Yuntian our targets? That's right. White-eyed wolf nodded. Now, since we know that they are going to the giant dragon mountain range, isn't this an opportunity for us? Qin Feiyong asked again. Opportunity? White-eyed wolf was stunned. That's right. This is an opportunity. Frenzy nodded and smiled. He finally understood Qin Feiyong's meaning. You mean we should rush to the giant dragon mountain range to kill Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons? White-eyed wolf asked. You're not that stupid. Qin Feiyong smiled. See, I just don't like to use my brain. White-eyed wolf snorted. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, There's no time to lose. I'll go to the giant dragon mountain range now. You're going. What about us? White-eyed wolf asked. Qin Feiyong said, You guys can stay here and continue to cultivate. Why? White-eyed wolf frowned. To deal with Princess Dragons and Du Yuntian, there's no need for all of us to go. Moreover, I have some concerns. Qin Feiyong's face showed a trace of worry. What concerns? A man and a wolf looked at him suspiciously. Although Yizhong and the others have already left the giant dragon mountain range, because Princess Dragons haven't met up with them, it's hard to guarantee that they won't secretly return. If they really return to the giant dragon mountain range and hide somewhere, won't you guys expose your identities if you follow them? Qin Feiyong said. White-eyed wolf scratched his head and said in confusion, I don't understand. Idiot. Think about it from my perspective. If it's us and we agreed to meet at a place in advance but we didn't come, would you leave? Frenzy said. Course not. White-eyed wolf was slow for a moment and laughed. So, even if the blood demon race knows that the giant dragon mountain range is the gathering place of dragons, Yizhong and the others may still secretly return to the giant dragon mountain range and wait for Princess Dragons and the Fire Dragon to meet up with them. Frenzy said. I see. White-eyed wolf nodded and finally understood. Although it's just a guess, it might really happen, so don't go. Besides, it's useless for you guys to go. Qin Feiyong laughed. Get lost. As if you're very useful. The man and wolf rolled their eyes. Qin Feiyong couldn't help but laugh and shouted, Senior King Yu, I have something to discuss with you. Swoosh. Before he finished speaking, King Yu appeared in the stone room and looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. What's the matter? Qin Feiyong briefly explained the situation. Okay, we'll go now. Hearing this, King Yu's eyes flashed coldly and he immediately left the palace with Qin Feiyong. Standing in the air above the square in front of the door, he shouted, 10 great commanders, come quickly. Whoosh! After a while, Shweta and the other great commanders flew through the air and landed in front of King Yu and Qin Feiyong. Shweta asked, King Yu, why are you in such a hurry? Let's talk while we walk. King Yu waved his hand and swept up the 10 great commanders and Qin Feiyong before rushing out of the city like lightning. Qin Feiyong also did not expect that the Serene King would actually personally go there. Even more so, he did not expect that the Serene King would gather the 10 great commanders. In that case, even if Yizhong and the others were to hide in the giant dragon mountain range, there would not be much of an issue. Chapter 26-26. So it's to kill the Princess of the Dragons. On the way. After hearing King Yu's explanation, Blood 2 and the others nodded in realization. Shweta looked a little angry. What's wrong with you? King Yu looked at him suspiciously. I'm angry with myself. Shweta said. Angry with yourself? King Yu was stunned. Qin Feiyong, Blood 2 and the others also looked at Shweta in shock. I was there when they killed Ancestral Dragon of the Fire Dragon. I also heard ancestral Gragon of the fire dragon telling them to go to the gathering place. But I didn't think of going to the gathering place to kill them? Why is my brain so slow? Shweta patted his head and said in frustration. Hearing this, King Yu bled too, and the others couldn't help but shake their heads and laugh. So he was angry about this. Boss, you don't have to be angry. After all, not everyone is so meticulous. Blood too chuckled. Get lost. Shweta glared at him and turned to Qin Feiyang. There was a hint of dissatisfaction in his eyes. Next time I'll definitely think of it before you. Qin Feiyang couldn't help but laugh. He didn't expect such a big guy to care so much about such a small matter. However, it also showed that Shweta's personality was very straightforward. He said whatever he wanted to say and didn't hide it in his heart. Such a person was easy to get along with because he wasn't scheming. Wait. Shweta reached out and stopped everyone. He frowned and said, It's too late for us to go to the Dragon Mountains now. Why? Everyone looked at him in confusion. That person called Du Yuntian has the same cultivation level as me. He's also at the perfected 9 heavens realm. Then our speed is the same. Since I've already brought Brother Qin back to the ancient city, Du Yuntian must have already brought the princess of the dragons to the Dragon Mountains. When they reach the Dragon Mountains and find that Yi Zhong and the others aren't there, they will definitely be suspicious and hide or leave. Then if we go there now, won't it be a wasted trip? Shweta said. Ahem. Qin Feiyang coughed and said with a smile, You're wrong. You're wrong. Shweta was stunned. Yes. Although Du Yuntian's cultivation is the same as yours, he has none of the advantages you have. Qin Feiyang said. What advantage? Shweta was suspicious. First, the power of evil. As he travels, he has to divide his attention to refine the evil power. His speed will definitely be slower than yours. Next would be the ferocious beasts of hell. As the great commander of the blood demon race, that ferocious beast definitely won't dare to block your path. But princess dragons and Du Yuntian are different. One of them is a human, and the other is a dragon. Furthermore, your blood demon race has already given the order to hunt down the humans and dragons. Think about it, what will happen if the beasts see them? He must have pounced on them in a frenzy. In the face of endless ferocious beasts, their speed will naturally slow down. I reckon that they might still be halfway there. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yeah. Shweta scratched his head, feeling as if his intelligence had been crushed once again. Boss, isn't there a saying that goes differently? All brawn and no brains. You're a big guy. Aren't you looking for trouble by competing with Brother Qin in terms of brains? Shwe grinned. No one will think you're mute if you don't speak. Shweta's veins suddenly bulged. Shwe chuckled. All right. Let's continue on our way. King Yu shook his head and smiled, leading a group of people and disappearing into the sky like lightning. A few hours later, a group of people descended outside the Dragon Mountain range. King Yu scanned the mountains and rivers and said in a deep voice, The Dragon Mountain range is ahead. Qin Feiyang raised his head and scanned the Dragon Mountain range, then looked at the 10 great commanders and said, I'll have to trouble you guys. Shwe said, What trouble? Just say it. You guys split up and enter the Dragon Mountain range from all directions. Along the way, use your divine sense to conduct a carpet search of the Dragon Mountain range. If Yi Zhong and the others really return to the Dragon Mountain range, there will be nowhere to run. Qin Feiyang said. Good idea. Shwe eyes lit up. The other great commanders also looked at Qin Feiyang with admiration. No matter what, this person did it flawlessly. The dragons were really unlucky to have provoked such a shrewd enemy. Then let's move. If you discover anything, release your aura immediately. The others will also rush over immediately to assist in the encirclement. King Yu said. Yes. The 10 commanders responded respectfully. Then they dispersed in all directions and quickly disappeared into the mountains. King Yu looked at Qin Feiyang and asked, What about us? Qin Feiyang smiled and said, Of course we're going straight to the valley. King Yu nodded and smiled. He swept up Qin Feiyang and rushed toward the slanting valley. Senior King Yu, since you and the 10 great commanders have left, will there be any problems in the ancient city? Qin Feiyang asked. Don't worry about that. Even if I and the 10 great commanders are not around, The dragons will not dare to barge into the ancient city. After all, there are still many Nine Heavens realm experts in the ancient city. We'll talk about it later. I'm the owner of the ancient city. If there are any changes, I'll be able to sense it immediately. King Yu smiled confidently. That's good. Qin Feiyang nodded. Very soon, the two of them landed in the sky above the valley. It had been 1.5 years since the last battle. The traces left behind by the battle had long been covered by grass and trees. Moreover, there were more beasts in the valley. However, when these beasts saw King Yu, they immediately lay on the ground and shivered. In the past year, have you seen any humans appearing in the giant Dragon Mountain range? King Yu asked. No. Those beasts shook their heads. King Yu frowned and said, Leave the giant Dragon Mountain range immediately. The group of beasts turned around and ran away as if they had been granted amnesty. King Yu said, It seems that princess dragons and the rest have not arrived. If they haven't arrived, then they are unlucky. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. As they could not use the image crystal, it was impossible for princess dragons and Du Yuntian to know about the situation of Yizhong and the rest. Therefore, when they arrived at the giant Dragon Mountain range, they would not be wary at all. And this was enough to be fatal. At the same time, the 10 commanders also entered the giant Dragon Mountain range respectively. Their divine senses covered the sky and earth, not missing any place. Time passed by bit. Bang! Suddenly, a terrifying aura burst out from his body. Qin Feiyang and King Yu immediately turned around and saw that the aura came from the northeast direction. And the owner of this aura was Shui Er. Could there be a situation? Qin Feiyang was bewildered. Let's go and take a look. King Yu shouted and immediately led Qin Feiyang to the northwest direction. At the same time, Shueda and the rest also heard the commotion and rushed towards Shui Er. Bang! In less than 3 breaths, another terrifying aura burst out. Qin Feiyang, King Yu, and the 10 commanders were all very familiar with this aura. Yizhong. He is indeed hiding in the giant Dragon Mountain range secretly. King Yu sneered. To Qin Feiyang, the giant Dragon Mountain range was very big. But to a peak 9 heavens realm like King Yu, it was just a small place. In less than 10 breaths, they all arrived at the battlefield and immediately saw Yizhong and Shui Er fighting fiercely in the void ahead. And without any suspense, Yizhong had the absolute advantage, because he had mastered the power of law. Although Shui Er was also very strong, he did not have the power of law and could not transform. With his strength alone, naturally he was no match for Yizhong. His entire body was dripping with blood. However, Shui Er could borrow the power of the evil sun, so it would be difficult for Yizhong to kill him. Yizhong, what a coincidence. We meet again. King Yu said coldly. Shui Er also retreated to the side and summoned the power of the evil sun to heal himself. Together with Shueda and the others, they surrounded Yizhong. Yizhong frowned. What was going on? The 10 commanders and King Yu had all come to the giant Dragon Mountain range? And by the looks of it, they were obviously searching the giant Dragon Mountain range. Could it be that the Blood Demon race knew that he was hiding in the giant Dragon Mountain range? But that was not right. With his understanding of the Blood Demon race, these big guys would not have thought of this at all. Suddenly, Yizhong looked at Qin Feiyang, who was beside King Yu, and his expression froze. Qin Feiyang. How could it be him? Long time no see, Chief Palace Master Yi. We are quite lucky to have caught a big fish like you. Qin Feiyang stepped forward and said with a smile. Yizhong said in shock and anger. Why are you with the Blood Demon race? It's a long story. Why don't we go to the ancient city together and have a good chat? Qin Feiyang smiled. Yizhong looked at Qin Feiyang and then at King Yu and the 10 commanders. He was in disbelief. He had become friends with the Blood Demon race? How did this kid do it? Qin Feiyang looked around and asked with a smile. Why are you alone? Where are the Chief Palace Master, the Beast King, and the Ancestor Dragons? Yizhong snorted. Let me think. The Ancestor Dragons have not comprehended the power of laws, so they would not dare to take the risk to return to the giant Dragon Mountain range. And the Chief Palace Master is a businessman. He would not do a losing deal. As for the Beast King, now that he is only left with a wisp of his soul, he would not dare to take the risk. In the end, only you, Chief Palace Master Yi, are left. So I concluded that you should be the only one in the giant dragon mountain range now. Qin Feiyang smiled. Yi Zhong said in a deep voice, you brought them here? That's right. Half a year ago, I met the princess and the fire dragon, the ancestor dragon. They have not met up with you? So I concluded that you would definitely return to the giant dragon mountain range quietly to wait for them. In the end, it was as I expected. Qin Feiyang laughed. You met Her Highness? Yi Zhong was surprised. Yes, but she was unlucky to meet me. I accidentally killed her. And the fire dragon, the ancestor dragon, was also very unlucky. He was killed by the power of laws. Qin Feiyang said. Her Highness and Old Fire are dead? Yi Zhong's face changed. This was definitely bad news for the dragons. I don't want to take action against you. Follow me to the ancient city of Qingyu. I will also ask Senior Qingyu to let you go. Qin Feiyang said. You asked him to let me go and he will let me go? Yi Zhong sneered. As long as Brother Qin says the word, I will let you go now. Qingyu said. Chapter 26-27. You can even let me go? Yi Zhong looked at Qingyu in shock. What exactly did Qin Feiyang do? Qingyu actually trusted him so much. They even called each other brothers. You're a smart person. Facing Senior Qingyu and the 10 commanders, even if you have mastered the power of laws, you won't have a chance to escape. So you might as well listen to me. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Yi Zhong glanced at Qingyu and the 10 commanders before looking at Qin Feiyang. Suddenly Yi Zhong smiled and nodded. Sure, I'll go to Qingyu's ancient city with you. Qin Feiyang smiled too. But then an enslavement seal appeared. The smile on Yi Zhong's face disappeared instantly. Qin Feiyang said, I believe you can understand. What a joke. After signing the slave seal, do I still have a choice? Yi Zhong said angrily. Do you think you still have a choice now? Qin Feiyang smiled faintly. Yi Zhong's face sank. I know. You must have left your soul on Divine Dragon Island. Even if I kill you now, you can be resurrected. But what have you thought? Is it really worth it? Qin Feiyang sighed. I know whether it's worth it or not. I don't need you to tell me what to do. Yi Zhong snorted coldly. All right. Then we'll wait and see. I'll let you go this time. Qin Feiyang said. What? You're really letting him go? The 10 commanders frowned. It wasn't easy to catch Yi Zhong. Yi Zhong frowned as well. He looked at Qin Feiyang and said, You're so kind? Just tell me, what tricks are you up to? This makes me a little depressed. It's rare for me to be a good person. And you actually suspect me? Qin Feiyang felt helpless. You Qin Feiyang are a kind person? Yi Zhong sneered without hesitation. I'm really not that bad. Qin Feiyang sighed and strode over to Yi Zhong. Yi Zhong looked at him suspiciously. Qingyu and the 10 great commanders were also puzzled. What was this kid trying to do? However, what happened next stunned everyone present. Qin Feiyang walked in front of Yi Zhong and gave Yi Zhong a big bear hug. He smiled and said, Take care of yourself. This, Yi Zhong, the Ghost King, and the 10 commanders were all in a state of confusion right now. What was going on? People who didn't know would think that this old man and young man were friends despite the difference in age. Qin Feiyang let go of Yi Zhong and retreated to the Ghost King's side. He put his hands behind his back and said, Go. Brother Qin, wait a moment. It's easy to release a tiger back to the mountains, but it'll be difficult to catch him again. You have to think carefully. Shweta hurriedly advised. It's fine. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Sir, what do you think? Shweta looked at the Ghost King. However, before Shweta finished speaking, the Ghost King said, Since I've already said it, I can't go back on my words. Yi Zhong, go. You're really letting me go? Yi Zhong was stunned. He kept feeling that something was wrong. Why aren't you scramming? Shweta shouted angrily. Yi Zhong looked at Shweta and then at Qin Feiyang. Then he turned and left without looking back. When Yi Zhong disappeared from sight, the Ghost King immediately looked at Qin Feiyang and said, Brother Qin, what are you trying to do? Senior Ghost King, don't be anxious. Qin Feiyang smiled and stretched out his hand that was behind his back. There was an image crystal in his palm. The Ghost King and the 10 commanders were bewildered. This is an image crystal. Although we can't send messages in the Netherworld King's hell, we can still record images. Qin Feiyong smiled and said, "Record images?" The Ghost King was stunned. Qin Feiyong waved his hand and an image appeared in the void. The image showed the scene of him and Yi Zhong hugging each other. Moreover, they could clearly hear the words "take care of yourself." "Why are you recording this?" The Ghost King was suspicious. The 10 commanders were also puzzled. "This is very useful. Think about it. If the dragons see this and hear this, what will they think?" Qin Feiyong said. If the dragons see this, the Ghost King and the 10 commanders were deep in thought. The Ghost King slapped his head and said with a smile, "So that's the case. You're using this image to sow discord between Yi Zhong and the dragons." "That's right. I have to recruit Yi Zhong for my own use. However, as his disciple, I know his character very well. Using force will definitely not work. Therefore, I can only use this method. It may be a little despicable, but it's also the most effective method. I don't have time to waste with him," Qin Feiyong said. "Amazing." The Ghost King gave him a thumbs up. The 10 commanders were also full of praises. "Wait a minute." The Ghost King suddenly raised his hand and pondered for a while before asking, "You just said that you're Yi Zhong's disciple?" "Yes." Qin Feiyong nodded and said, "Didn't senior brother Crazy tell you this? We talked a lot back then." "I can't remember clearly." The Ghost King shook his head. "I'm indeed Yi Zhong's disciple. However, I have another identity. My other identity is Li Bu'er. Back then, I forged this identity in order to get close to the dragons," Qin Feiyong said. "So that's the case." The Ghost King nodded. "In short, I'll handle the matter regarding Yi Zhong well. I won't bring you any trouble," Qin Feiyong said with a smile. "This king believes in that." The Ghost King nodded and smiled. "However, my identity as Li Bu'er and the fact that senior brother Crazy and the white-eyed wolf are in the ancient city of King Yuang must not be leaked. Because once the dragons know that senior brother Crazy and the white-eyed wolf are in the ancient city of King Yuang, they will definitely think of me. By then, the situation will be very disadvantageous to us," Qin Feiyong said. "Don't worry about this. We've already thought of this. Therefore, more than a year ago, I've already instructed in private that no one is allowed to leak the fact that Crazy and the white-eyed wolf are in the ancient city of King Yuang," the Ghost King said. "Senior, you're also a meticulous person," Qin Feiyong said with a smile. The Ghost King shook his head and smiled. Although he had spent less than a day with Qin Feiyong, he could already tell that this was a young man who could make people feel despair. "Don't just talk about this. We have a very big problem now." "Shui Dao." "What problem?" The Ghost King looked at him suspiciously. "If we let Yi Zhong go, he will definitely think of ways to intercept the Princess of the Dragons and prevent her from entering the giant dragon mountains. Won't our plan be in vain then?" "Shui Dao." "That's right." Blood 2 and the rest also patted their heads and came to a realization. However, Qin Feiyong revealed a smile and said, "It seems that you didn't pay much attention to what I said previously." The group of people looked at Qin Feiyong suspiciously. Qin Feiyong said, "Think carefully. Didn't I tell Yi Zhong that I accidentally killed the Princess of the Dragons?" The 10 commanders lowered their heads and pondered. "That's what you said." The Ghost King suddenly nodded. "Yi Zhong won't doubt the words that come out of my mouth. Since the Princess of the Dragons is dead, is there still a need for him to intercept? So, even if we let Yi Zhong go, it won't affect our plan to kill the Princess of the Dragons." Qin Feiyong shook his head and said. Shweta was stunned and said in disbelief, "So you've been planning this from the beginning? How can this be a joke?" "Of course, I have to consider everything in advance," Qin Feiyong said. Shweta said helplessly, "All right, I admit defeat. I really can't compare to your brain. Boss, you finally know your own limits. That's rare." Shue said coldly, "Are you itching for a beating?" Shweta immediately frowned. Don't. A gentleman uses his mouth, not his fists." Shue hurriedly waved his hand. "I'm going to use my fists today. I want to see who dares to say that I'm not a gentleman." Shweta grabbed Shue and beat him up. Shue wailed. Shue San and the other commanders also stood at the side and watched the show with a smile. The Ghost King's face darkened. He glared at the group of people and said apologetically, "Brother Qin, I've made a fool of myself." "No, they're quite cute." Qin Feiyong shook his head. The more he interacted with them, the more he felt that the Blood Demon tribe was worth befriending. Back to Yizhong. Half an hour later. He rushed into a large mountain. Soon a small valley entered his sight. There were several cave residences in the valley. When Yizhong arrived in the valley, the chief pavilion master, the beast emperor, and the various ancestral dragons all walked out of their cave residences. "How was it?" the black dragon ancestral dragon asked. Yizhong sighed. "I didn't see the princess and old Hua. Instead, I saw the Ghost King and the 10 commanders." "What? They went to the Dragon Mountains again?" Everyone was shocked. "Yes." Yizhong nodded and said in a deep voice, "And Qin Feiyong." "Qin Feiyong." Everyone looked at each other. Why did Qin Feiyong also go to the Dragon Mountains? It was Qin Feiyong who brought the Ghost King and the others to the Dragon Mountains. I don't know why this kid has such a good relationship with the Blood Demon tribe. He's actually brothers with the Ghost King and the 10 commanders. Yizhong said. "It can't be. Quickly tell us in detail." The Black Dragon ancestral dragon said. Yizhong nodded and briefly explained the situation. "The princess and old Hua are dead?" They heard about it. The group of people was dumbfounded. Damn it. Outside, everyone likes him. In the hell, the Blood Demon tribe also likes him. I really don't understand. What charm does this little bastard have? When they came back to their senses, the ancestral dragons immediately roared, feeling very unbalanced. Sigh. Yizhong sighed. At this moment he wavered. Was it right or wrong for the dragons to deprive Qin Feiyong and Qin Batian of their bloodline power? The chief pavilion master looked at the ancestral dragons and asked Yizhong, "Then how did you escape?" Yizhong paused for a moment and said, "Of course I escaped when they weren't paying attention. Could it be that they would take the initiative to let me go?" He had to hide the truth. This was because once he told them the truth, the ancestral dragons would definitely be suspicious of him, given their suspicious personalities. Then what should we do now? Are we still going to the Ghost King ancient city to snatch the heaven-defying artifact? The Beast Emperor asked. The chief pavilion master looked at the ancestral dragon and said, "Of course not. The Blood Demon tribe is already very difficult to deal with, and now there's another Qin Feiyong." Yizhong said helplessly, "I also found out that Qin Feiyong has already broken through to the half-nine heavens realm." So fast? The chief pavilion master was stunned. He remembered that before entering the hell, this little bastard was only a greater perfection paragon god. Then all the more we can't go to the Ghost King ancient city. After all, we all know about Qin Feiyong's means. Even if he doesn't have any heaven-defying artifact or technique, we can't underestimate him. The Beast Emperor said in a deep voice. Yes. Yizhong nodded. The chief pavilion master came back to his senses and asked, "Then let's go to Fallen Valley to take a look?" The ancestral dragon sighed helplessly and said, "Then let's go to Fallen Valley to try our luck." He didn't insist on going to the Ghost King ancient city anymore. Because he didn't dare. He was afraid. Chapter 26-28. Time flew by. In the blink of an eye, half a month had passed. Early morning. The evil sun slowly rose. The dark world gradually brightened. Whoosh! A man and a woman rushed into the Dragon Mountains. The man held a folding fan in his hand and wore a purple robe. He was tall and straight and had quite a temperament. The woman wore a white dress and had a graceful figure. She could be described as a peerless beauty. However, they were a little embarrassed. Their bodies were covered with blood. The two of them were Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons. "This is the settlement?" Du Yuntian glanced around and asked. "Yes." Princess Dragons nodded. They walked all the way and arrived at the sky above the canyon. However, in the canyon, there was nothing except for weeds all over the ground. "Where are they? Could you have made a mistake?" Du Yuntian frowned. "Impossible." Princess Dragons took out a hand-drawn map from her interspatial ring and carefully checked it for a moment before saying, "There's no mistake. This is the place." Then how can we see the chief palace master and the rest? Du Yuntian was suspicious. Princess Dragon said with uncertainty, they may have gone out for something. They shouldn't have. If they had gone out for something, they would have left 1 or 2 people to guard here. I think they may have left. Du Yuntian shook his head. Left? Princess Dragons raised her eyebrows. If Yi Zhong and the rest had really left, where could she find them? Du Yuntian asked. Is there a second settlement? No. Princess Dragons shook her head. Then it's not easy. Hell is so big. It's as difficult as ascending to heaven to find them. Du Yuntian said. Princess Dragons frowned. Suddenly, she seemed to have thought of something and said, I thought of a place. Where? Du Yuntian asked. Fallen Valley. Princess Dragons said. Fallen Valley? Du Yuntian was suspicious. That's right. Before we came to hell, Yi Zhong and the others mentioned Fallen Valley more than once. He even said that he would definitely visit Fallen Valley again if he had the chance. If they are not in the Dragon Mountains, then they must be in the Fallen Valley. Princess Dragon said in a deep voice. Du Yuntian's eyes flashed as he asked, how far is Fallen Valley from here? I heard from Yi Zhong and the others that it would take at least 2 years to travel from the giant Dragon Mountain range to Fallen Valley, even for a great perfection 9 heavens realm. Princess Dragons said. So far? Du Yuntian was stunned. It's all right. Compared to the Divine Demon Forest, it's already very close. Princess Dragon shook her head. Du Yuntian's eyes flickered as he said, since they are no longer in the giant Dragon Mountain range. Speaking of which, Du Yuntian chuckled as he looked at Princess Dragons and said, then let's settle our matters. Our business? Princess Dragons was taken aback and asked suspiciously, what can we solve? Of course there is. Along the way I have endured for a long time and now I really can't endure it anymore. After Du Yuntian finished speaking, he suddenly released his pressure to imprison Princess Dragons. What are you doing? Princess Dragons was shocked and shouted angrily. What am I doing? Du Yuntian held his chin as he looked at Princess Dragon's figure and laughed. I want to be the son-in-law of Dragon Zun. Upon hearing this, Princess Dragon's face suddenly turned pale. Don't struggle. You are only a half-step 9th heaven realm. Under my pressure, you don't even have the chance to self-destruct. Just obediently obey me. Du Yuntian walked up step by step. Bastard, if you dare to do this, I dragons will never let you go. Princess Dragons roared. Haha, when the rice is cooked, what can dragons do to me? Moreover, I have already made plans. Let's have a child here first, and then take the child back to Divine Continent. At that time, even if you dragons are angry, you probably won't kill me. After all, I am the father of the child. Du Yuntian laughed. Shameless bastard. Princess Dragons was furious, and a destructive aura suddenly emerged from her body. I told you it's useless, why don't you listen? Du Yuntian shook his head, and his pressure instantly increased by several levels, and Princess Dragons was immediately imprisoned. Not to mention self-destructing, she couldn't even speak. Woo-woo. Princess Dragon struggled silently, and her eyes were full of pleading, as if saying, let me go. However, how could Du Yuntian let go of such a rare opportunity after much difficulty? He walked in front of Princess Dragons and grabbed her dress. At this moment, tears suddenly rolled out of Princess Dragon's eyes, and her face was full of despair. Poochie. However, just as the Dragon Princess's dress was torn apart, a faint laugh sounded. Du Yuntian. I always thought that I was brave enough, but I didn't expect you to be even braver than me. You even dared to touch Dragon Zun's daughter? What do you think will happen to you if Dragon Zun knows about this? The laughter was full of sarcasm. This voice. Princess Dragon's heart skipped a beat. Du Yuntian's face suddenly darkened, and he looked up at the peak of the mountain, and saw a young man in white standing at the edge of the cliff. Qin Feiyang. Why are you here? You're really haunting me. Du Yuntian said angrily. Haunting me? Don't be mistaken, I came to the Dragon Mountains before you. Qin Feiyang smiled faintly, and landed in front of Du Yuntian. In the past half-month, he, King Yu, and the 10 commanders had been lurking nearby. When Du Yuntian and Princess Dragons arrived, he quietly came to the peak of the mountain and witnessed the scene with his own eyes. Save me. Princess Dragons cried silently. Usually she hated Qin Feiyang to the core. But at this moment, she felt an inexplicable sense of closeness, as if she had seen her savior. Du Yuntian frowned and said, Qin Feiyang, don't meddle in other people's business. I don't intend to meddle in it either. You continue, just pretend that I'm not here. Qin Feiyang chuckled as he leaned against a rock and crossed his arms over his chest. You're just standing there, how can I continue? Du Yuntian's face darkened, and he said angrily, what does that have to do with anything? Anyway, you're so thick-skinned to do such a thing. Why are you afraid of others seeing it? Qin Feiyang said. Du Yuntian gloomily stared at Qin Feiyang, and suddenly laughed. If we can capture princess dragons, it'll be good for both of us, why don't we share it? Qin Feiyang was stunned. Share? Could this guy be more shameless? Forget it. I can't do such a wicked thing. Qin Feiyang shook his head. Wicked? Du Yuntian sneered and said, as long as I can achieve my goal, what's the difference? It's pointless to say more. You continue, I'll just watch. I'll definitely not disturb you. Qin Feiyang laughed. Du Yuntian was burning with anger. Was this not disturbing? He suppressed his anger and said in a deep voice, you should know that the dragons are a threat to us. If we can capture princess dragons, it'll be great for you, me, and the dragon-slaying palace. Dragon-slaying palace? Princess Dragons was shocked. Du Yuntian actually mention the dragon-slaying palace? Could it be he's from the dragon-slaying palace? Du Yuntian looked at Qin Feiyang and continued, think about it, if I become the son-in-law of the dragons, won't it be easier for us to destroy the dragons? He's really from the dragon-slaying palace. Princess Dragons was shocked. At the same time, it was too late for regrets. Qin Feiyang had said that there was something wrong with Du Yuntian's identity, but she didn't pay much attention to it. She thought that it was really just Qin Feiyang trying to sow discord. However, she didn't expect it to be true. If she had believed Qin Feiyang and secretly been wary of Du Yuntian, how could she have fallen into such a situation? Working from the inside, Qin Feiyang pondered for a while and nodded. It seems to make sense. That's the reason. Look, we're both young lords of the dragon-slaying palace. If you and I join forces, it'll be a strong alliance. When we destroy the dragons, we'll have the greatest credit. Maybe we'll be the next sovereigns of the dragon-slaying palace. Aren't you tempted by such a great benefit? Du Yuntian laughed. He didn't care about his identity being exposed. After all, he had already attacked princess dragons. I'm tempted. Qin Feiyang nodded. That's right. To show my sincerity, I'll let you play with this woman first. Du Yuntian laughed. This? Qin Feiyang hesitated for a while and slowly walked to Du Yuntian's side. He reached out and pinched Princess Dragon's chin, looking at her face. You don't say. At such a close distance, it really makes one's imagination run wild. Qin Feiyang laughed. Hearing this, Princess Dragon's face turned even paler. She didn't expect Qin Feiyang to be such a person. Du Yuntian looked at Princess Dragons and then at Qin Feiyang. A trace of killing intent suddenly appeared in his eyes. I'm waiting for you to come closer. A wisp of divine power quietly appeared in his palm. That's right. His previous show of goodwill was to lure Qin Feiyang to take the initiative to come closer. Because only by attacking at a close distance, he was confident that he could kill Qin Feiyang in one blow. The world said that Qin Feiyang was smart, but now it seemed that he was not that smart. He believed him so easily. However, just as Du Yuntian was about to launch a sneak attack on Qin Feiyang suddenly let go of the dragon princess's chin. Then he turned around and ruthlessly slapped Du Yuntian's face. Slap. The crisp sound of the slap echoed in this place for a long time. Du Yuntian was dumbfounded. Princess Dragons was also dumbfounded. Haha. Qin Feiyang laughed and took a step back. He jokingly said, Du Yuntian, do you really think I'm a fool? Do you think I'll believe your nonsense? You're courting death. Du Yuntian was completely enraged. The killing intent in his eyes was undisguised. Don't look like you're going to eat me. I, Qin Feiyang, may be cruel and merciless, but I'm not so shameless as to use such despicable means. To possess princess dragons and become the son-in-law of Long Zun. I can't believe you can think of such a thing. Someone like you is worthy of being the young lord of the dragon-slaying palace and being as famous as I, Qin Feiyong. I feel ashamed. Qin Feiyong despised him. Good. Then let me see how powerful you can be without a heaven-defying divine weapon and heaven-defying divine art. Du Yuntian nodded repeatedly, his face full of hostility. Boom! Before his voice had died away, a terrifying surge of divine power surged out, carrying a destructive momentum toward Qin Feiyong. Chapter 26-29. How dare you hurt Brother Qin? You're courting death. Just as Du Yuntian made his move, an angry roar could be heard. Immediately after, a huge figure rushed over at lightning speed and stood in front of Qin Feiyong. It was Shweta. Shweta threw a punch, and Du Yuntian's divine power was immediately shattered. Blood Demon Tribe. Du Yuntian's expression changed. Whoosh! Another 10 figures rushed over. They were King Yu Shui Air and the others. You guys. Du Yuntian looked at the group of people with a terrified expression. Don't misunderstand. It's just you and Princess Dragons. There's no need for all of us to move out. King Yu said indifferently. Then why are you guys here? Du Yuntian was surprised. We're here for the ancestral dragon. Unfortunately, they've already escaped. King Yu said. Du Yuntian heaved a sigh of relief. But immediately after, his heart was in his throat again. Although these blood demons were here for the ancestral dragon, now that the ancestral dragon had escaped, they would definitely not let him go. For these blood demons, killing him was just a matter of convenience. King Yu looked at Princess Dragons and said indifferently, "Your Princess Dragons?" Princess Dragons whimpered. King Yu waved his hand, and the majesty that imprisoned Princess Dragons was immediately shattered. Princess Dragons finally regained her freedom and immediately retreated. She stared at Du Yuntian and said resentfully, "I guarantee that you'll die miserably." Du Yuntian's gaze trembled. King Yu said, "I'm asking you a question." Princess Dragons looked at King Yu and said, "I'm Princess Dragons. May I ask who you are?" Shweta said, "He's the ruler of Hell, King Yu." King Yu. Princess Dragons was shocked. Du Yuntian was also shocked. This blood demon in front of him was actually the famous King Yu. King Yu sized up Princess Dragons for a moment and nodded. "You look like your mother." "You've seen my mother?" Princess Dragons asked. King Yu snorted. "Not only have I seen her, but we've also fought. She was defeated by me." "What? Longzun was defeated by him?" Du Yuntian was stunned. Even Longzun was no match for this person? Just how terrifying was the Ghost King's strength? Qin Feiyong was also slightly taken aback. He turned to look at Yu King and asked, "Senior Yu King, have you seen Longzun's true appearance?" "Yes. Although many years have passed, this king still remembers it." The Ghost King nodded. Qin Feiyong was very curious. What did this Longzun look like? Although he had met Longzun more than once, he had never seen Longzun's true appearance. Suddenly, Du Yuntian stared at Qin Feiyong and shouted, "Do you dare to fight me one-on-one?" Qin Feiyong was taken aback. King Yu and the others also looked at Du Yuntian in shock. "Fight me one-on-one. No one is allowed to help me. If I lose, you can punish me however you want. But if I win, you have to let me go," Du Yuntian said. He wanted to gain the initiative by striking first. This was because he knew that with the help of the Ghost King and the others, there was no way he could survive. Only by challenging Qin Feiyong would he have a chance. Qin Feiyong came back to his senses and hurriedly raised his hand. Wait. Why should I fight you one-on-one? You don't dare? Come to think of it, you're only an immortal." At this point, Du Yuntian's eyes suddenly widened. He stared at Qin Feiyong in disbelief and said, "You've already broken through to the half-step 9 heavens realm? Is that strange?" Qin Feiyong asked in a daze. Du Yuntian took a deep breath and said, "It's not strange for you, Qin Feiyong. But so what if you're a half-step 9 heavens realm?" There was some disdain in his eyes. Haha. Are you trying to provoke me so that I'll accept your challenge? As the young master of the Dragon Slayer Temple, is this all you know? Qin Feiyong smiled faintly. Do you dare to accept my challenge? If you don't dare, I won't force you. But if word gets out that the descendant of Qin Badian doesn't even have the courage to accept someone's challenge, I think, you'll not only lose your face, but also the face of your ancestor. Du Yuntian sneered. Go on. I'm listening. Qin Feiyong crossed his arms, as if he was watching a clown. Du Yuntian was furious. How could this person be so calm? If it was someone else, they would have already been angered and accepted his challenge. Senior Ghost King, any of the 10 commanders can easily get rid of you. Do you think I need to waste my time with you? Qin Feiyong looked at him playfully. Coward. Useless. What else do you know other than relying on your master's power? But it makes sense. You didn't have parents to discipline you since you were young. It's normal that you don't know shame and self-respect. Du Yuntian sneered. Parents. Qin Feiyong's eyes darkened. What's wrong? Have I touched your heart? Others might not know, but I know your past very well. You've been extremely talented since you were young. You're known as a rare monster. But in the end, not only did your biological father not value you, he even personally crippled your cultivation and chased you out of the family. I can't help but pity you. You're just like a dog struggling at death's door. Du Yuntian continued to provoke and ridicule him. So he went through such a tribulation when he was young. Princess Dragons muttered. To be crippled by one's own father and chased out of the family was a terrifying thing. If it was anyone else, they probably wouldn't be able to withstand such a blow. But this man had stubbornly made it all the way. Ghost King and the 10 commanders couldn't help but sympathize with Qin Feiyong. It was no wonder this kid was so terrifying. He had been tempered through trials and tribulations. Qin Feiyong stared at Du Yuntian, his gloomy expression becoming increasingly terrifying. Suddenly, he exhaled a long breath and said with a smile, although your tricks are unsightly, I have to congratulate you. You've really angered me. Tricks? Isn't this the truth? Du Yuntian chuckled. Yes, this is the truth. But so what? My father and mother did this to better protect me. This is the love of a father and a mother. Although you were born in Shenzhou and have talent and status that others don't have, I believe you've never experienced the feeling of being cared for. Qin Feiyong said lightly. How do you know I haven't? Du Yuntian sneered. Because of your character. If you had parents to discipline you and care for you, you would never have become such a refined scum. So to speak, you're the one who lacks parental discipline. Qin Feiyong said. Cut the crap. Accept my challenge if you dare. Du Yuntian shouted. There was a hint of anger in his tone. Obviously Qin Feiyong had guessed correctly. Du Yuntian's family situation was not that simple. All right. I'll fulfill your wish. Qin Feiyong's gaze turned cold. He looked at King Yu and the 10 commanders and said, Senior King Yu, don't interfere. Are you sure? King Yu frowned. Yes. If I really lose to him, it's because I'm not capable enough. You can let him go then. Qin Feiyong nodded. Okay. No matter what you do, we'll support you. Step back. King Yu shouted. The 10 commanders immediately stepped back. With a wave of his hand, the Ghost King brought the Dragon Princess and retreated into the distance. You're not going to kill me? Princess Dragons frowned. Shut up. King Yu said expressionlessly. His gaze was fixed on Qin Feiyong, and there was a hint of anticipation in his eyes. A beginner 9 Heavens realm versus a perfected 9 Heavens realm. Could this young lad create a miracle? You actually accepted my challenge. I have to say that you're really stupid. Du Yuntian glanced at King Yu and the rest. He looked at Qin Feiyong and burst into laughter. Stupid? Don't think too much. I just want you to experience for yourself how weak you are in front of me. I want you to know what true despair is. Qin Feiyong said. Shameless boasting. A mere half-step 9 Heavens realm can make me feel despair. Just you wait. Very soon, I'll let you have a good taste of despair. Du Yuntian shouted angrily. His aura was released and he slammed his palm toward Qin Feiyong. Divine power spread in all directions. The mountains and rivers here suddenly collapsed one after another. Once a perfected 9 Heavens realm attacked with all his might, it would be a scene of destruction. Whoosh! Qin Feiyong took a step back and his eyes turned sharp. With your speed, do you think you can dodge it? Du Yuntian's face was full of disdain. He immediately chased after Qin Feiyang and slammed his palm toward his chest. However, Qin Feiyang seemed to have expected it. He stepped to the side and calmly dodged it. Impossible. Du Yuntian shook his head. The battles I've experienced in my life are not something you can imagine. Our battle awareness is not on the same level, Qin Feiyang said. Her tone was as cold as frost, bone-chilling. Battle awareness is bullshit. Cultivation is the way to go. Du Yuntian shouted. Divine power gushed out like a torrent, covering the sky and covering the earth as it rushed towards Qin Feiyang. I don't deny that. Qin Feiyang nodded. In an instant his aura soared. Beginner 9 Heavens Realm. Initial 9 Heavens Realm. In just a moment, his cultivation level soared by 2 small realms. Rising Dragon Formula. After studying it last time, his Rising Dragon Formula had increased by 2 small realms. However, against Du Yuntian, his initial 9 Heavens Realm cultivation was not enough. He took out another divine pill and threw it into his mouth. This was the Heavenly Dust Divine Pill. Boom! Violent energy exploded in his body. His aura soared again. Greater 9 Heavens Realm. What? Not only Du Yuntian and the Dragon Princess, but even King Yu and the 10 Great Commanders were also dumbfounded. His cultivation level increased by 3 small realms? This little guy's skills were not simple. Boom! Qin Feiyang finally made his move. The power in his body surged out like a flood from an open dam. He threw a punch. The divine power in the fist collided violently. A destructive aura instantly spread out in all directions with this place as the center. Shatter! Qin Feiyang roared. His black hair fluttered in the wind. He looked like a demon god descending to earth. Then, under Du Yuntian's incredulous gaze, the divine power collapsed. Could not even stop it. Chapter 2630. The Dragon Princess was in a daze. Even if Qin Feiyang's cultivation had reached the 9 Heaven stage of greater success, there was still a difference of 2 whole stages between him and Du Yuntian. After all, Du Yuntian was at the 9th Heaven realm. But now his punch had shattered Du Yuntian's divine power? Just how strong was this power? I see. King Yu was surprised at first, but after careful observation, he understood. This kid is powerful. Just like us, he has strengthened his body. Shweta laughed. And judging from the strength he has shown, his body is at least 3 small realms stronger than those of the same realm. Shwetu said with admiration. On the battlefield, Qin Feiyang lowered his arm. Looking at Du Yuntian, he said, the strength that you thought was infallible, is this all you've got? Du Yuntian was angry and shouted, what are you being so arrogant for? This is only 1/10 of my strength. Sky Demon Treasure Book, Godslaying. Du Yuntian pointed in the air and a black divine light shot out from his index finger. A destructive wave instantly spread out in all directions. Shweta's face changed and he shouted, Brother Qin, be careful. That's a supreme killing skill. Supreme killing skill, Qin Feiyang whispered. He had used a supreme killing skill so quickly. He really thought highly of Qin Feiyang. Die! Du Yuntian shouted. The divine light was like a sharp arrow, shattering the sky and locking onto Qin Feiyang. But for this, Qin Feiyang did not panic. He could not dodge it. Because the divine light's aura had locked onto him, he could only fight back. Chirp! Accompanied by a loud phoenix cry, the Fire Phoenix 4 styles was instantly released. Fire Phoenix technique. Du Yuntian was shocked. Wasn't this the divine art created by Lu Zhongyang? How could it be in this person's hands? And judging by its aura, it had reached the level of a supreme divine art. Boom! Following a series of deafening explosions, the godly light and the Fire Phoenix 4 forms continued to collide with one another. The Fire Phoenix 4 styles were annihilated one after another. Qin Feiyang was bleeding from the corner of his mouth. However, the divine light was completely undamaged. Seeing this scene, Du Yuntian calmed down and laughed wildly. Did you see that? This is the difference between our cultivation levels. Even if you have a supreme grade divine skill, you are still not my match. Kill! The divine light destroyed everything in its path as it headed straight for Qin Feiyang's glabella. But even so, Qin Feiyang still did not panic. He was so calm that it was frightening. Boom! Suddenly, under the shocked gazes of the Princess of the Dragons, the Ghost King, and the 10 commanders, Qin Feiyong actually struck the divine light with his bare hands. Was this kid courting death? No matter how strong his physical body was, he couldn't take on a supreme being killing technique head-on. The huge black hand shattered the 2 divine techniques and instantly slapped toward Qin Feiyong. It was also at this moment that a set of white armor appeared on Qin Feiyong's body. Divine armor. Boom! Immediately after, Qin Feiyong was slapped into the ground by the huge black hand. When the huge black hand dissipated, a huge palm print appeared on the ground, and in the middle of the palm print was a huge pit. Qin Feiyong was lying in the deep pit at this moment. The divine armor had long been shattered, and his body was dripping with blood. And because of the huge black hand's concealment, Princess Dragons did not see the divine armor. You're at your wits' end? I thought you were very strong, but it turns out that this is all you've got. Why are you so arrogant? Du Yuntian looked down at Qin Feiyong lying in the deep pit and laughed. I should be the one saying that. Qin Feiyong's voice slowly came out as he slowly stood up. Although he was dripping with blood, he did not look weak at all. This, Du Yuntian was stunned. Princess Dragons also looked at Qin Feiyong in shock. After being attacked by such a terrifying attack, he was actually fine? As for Ghost King and the 10 commanders, they were also very shocked. Only Qin Feiyong knew that if he had activated the divine armor at that time, both his soul and body would have been destroyed. You didn't die even after that? Are you a fucking cockroach? Du Yuntian was furious. Qin Feiyong had broken his supreme killing technique time and time again, which was equivalent to slapping his face time and time again, because he was at the peak 9 heavens realm. It was already very embarrassing for a 9th heavens realm cultivator to be unable to crush the other party like crushing dry weeds and smashing rotten wood, let alone breaking his most offensive and most powerful killing technique again and again. He felt like a piece of trash who could not even kill a half-step 9 heavens realm cultivator. You're not strong enough, and you're blaming me for being tough? Are you kidding me? Qin Feiyong mocked. Good. You're strong. I'd like to see how long you can last. Heavenly Demon Scripture. God Burial. Du Yuntian roared. Clang. A huge black axe appeared with surging demonic might. Since you're so arrogant, don't dodge. I'll send you to hell. Following Du Yuntian's angry roar, the huge black axe chopped towards Qin Feiyong as if it could destroy the vast sky. Have I dodged from the beginning to the end? You're not qualified for me to dodge. It's time for me to show you my strength, Qin Feiyong said in a low voice. Swoosh. 3,000 clones were instantly activated. 3,000 clones appeared behind him in unison. This is the divine art. Shweta was shocked. Even now, he still remembered how terrifying this divine art was. Back then, even his physical body could not withstand it and had been sent flying. You're just a bunch of clones. You want to block my supreme killing technique? However, Du Yuntian had a look of contempt. Seeing Du Yuntian's reaction, Qin Feiyong was surprised. He did not even know about the existence of 3,000 clones. It seemed that the demon ancestor had kept a low profile in the dragon-slaying palace and had never activated 3,000 clones. Because in this world, only he and the demon ancestor had 3,000 clones. Attack! Qin Feiyong shouted. Kill! The 3,000 clones roared and instantly activated the Dragon God technique and the Fire Phoenix technique. They charged toward the huge black axe. Boom! Crack! Accompanied by earth-shattering sounds, the Fire Phoenix technique and the Dragon God technique shattered. However, the huge black axe was also gradually shattering. How could this be? Du Yuntian was shocked. You still don't know? They're not clones at all. Their strength is the same as mine. Qin Feiyong smiled coldly. Crack! As more than half of the Dragon God technique and the Fire Phoenix technique shattered, the huge black axe also collapsed. That moment, the remaining Dragon God technique and the Fire Phoenix technique blasted toward Du Yuntian and instantly drowned him. Terrifying divine might completely erupted. A Du Yuntian's scream resounded in the sky. They're not clones. King Yu was also shocked. They're definitely not clones because I've experienced their strength. Their strength is exactly the same as Qin Feiyong's original body. Blood Dao. That's really a mysterious deity technique. King Yu mumbled. Qin Feiyang suddenly. Du Yuntian's angry roar was heard. Accompanied by a loud bang, an unparalleled ferocious aura suddenly surged out. The Fire Phoenix technique and the Dragon God technique that drowned Du Yuntian began to shatter and disappear. When everything was revealed, a huge black python appeared above Du Yuntian's head. The python was thousands of feet long, and its body was covered with black snake scales. There was also a pitch-black horn on its head. Fighting soul? Qin Feiyang was stunned. That's right. This is my fighting soul. I'm going to tear you into pieces and burn your bones to ashes so that you can never be reincarnated. Go to hell. Du Yuntian roared. Blood spurted from his body and he looked extremely ferocious. Boom! That moment, the fighting soul carried a monstrous ferocious aura as it bared its fangs and brandished its claws toward Qin Feiyang. You're tuning in to the Li Mei Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.